I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast episode number 163. This one's with Shea O'Connor, and we talk about art and illustration. Shea is someone I found randomly on Instagram, been following for a while. Really love her work. She has a really cool style, and I love that she shows a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff of how she creates her illustrations. But yeah, I just reached out to Shea, and here she is. Now, we record this podcast back in December, so if we refer to anything, that's why. But you can find her on all the social media. If you search for Designed by Shea, SHEA, in any of those platforms, you'll find her. It's pretty easy to find. A lot of times it's designed by Shea. I think that's what it is on Instagram, TikTok. But then on Etsy, it's just Designed by Shea, no periods. Facebook, it's Designed by Shea O'Connor, OCONNOR. She's on YouTube too, and she has her own website, designedbyshay.com. But yeah, check out her work, give her a follow, buy her artwork or prints. She's super talented. I've got, I think, one or two pieces myself. But yeah, she was lovely and lives down in Atlanta, so not that far away. But yeah, I appreciate Shea for coming on. We had a really good time. Sponsor this week is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultation company based here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So they do work for clients big and small all over the country, all over the globe, in fact. But they also do photography, videography, video editing, and audio editing, website design, SEO, writing, content development. Hell, they'll babysit your kids if it nets them money. So make sure you give them a follow on social media on either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Feral Giant. And be sure to give them an email today and hire them for your next project. Without much further ado, here's the episode.
I will be in your neck of the woods if you're still where you're at, which we don't have to reveal that a week.
Mm-hmm.
The end of this
I'm in
week.
Atlanta.
Yeah, on Saturday.
Oh, yeah? What are you going to be here for?
I bought tickets in January to see this comedian, Miss Pat. Downtown at a theater I had never heard of.
What is it? What theater?
Let's see.
I probably also don't know, but
Center Stage. It's on Peachtree Street. Okay.
Yeah. That's great. Parking might be a little bit tricky, but I believe in you.
Well, that's Atlanta. As long as you're willing
welcome
to
to the city.
As long as you're willing to pay, you can figure out where to park.
That's true. But Center Stage is a great venue. That's going to be a good show. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of Miss Pat?
I have not. But should I?
You talk about if curse that may, I don't know you well enough to know, but that may top out on the cursing part. She is a woman that got pregnant at 13, had to start selling drugs at 14 to pay for a kid. I'm going to skip past that because I don't know you well enough to say the next one. There's a lot of very profane things that happened to her, but she is a comedian. Like she's turned all that into humor. She's from Atlanta and she went by the name Rabbit. She actually released a book called Rabbit, which is it's funny, but it's also terrifying.
Like a dark humor in a way?
Or? No, it's the stuff that happened to her when she was young. It's very bad. It's very
heavy.
Bad.
Yeah.
But she also, I think, just completed 3 seasons of her show on BET and just got nominated for an Emmy for her show.
Oh, man.
And does a Miss Pat show, a Judge Pat show. She is the funniest. She is. I will say, look her up. She's been on
I
like
will.
Jimmy Fallon or any of those things before you watch the. I, I apologize for saying this phrase. And then my ex shot my nipple off. Like,
Okay.
yeah,
Enough said.
yeah. She's funny as hell.
Okay, I'll look her up. But have a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
It should be fun. She makes fun of the fact that because she's on a lot of podcasts, she has a lot of white boy fans. I'm like, yep, that's me.
Count me
Hi,
in.
Miss Pat. Hi, Miss Pat. How you doing?
Yeah, you're gonna see like a lot of you in that room. It's gonna be funny.
Yeah. A lot of big bearded dudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you originally from Atlanta?
Pretty much. That's the easiest way to say it. But I mean, I grew up in the burbs. So I grew up in Woodstock, Georgia.
Okay.
Which I feel like people know what that is now because it's really cute now, but it was super like we only had like a Publix and a McDonald's back in my day. But it was great because I was like close to the city and my aunt lived in the city. So I've always like been like, I don't know, familiar with Atlanta. And then I went to school at UGA and that was in Athens. So I'm a Georgia girl. That's where I've been and where I'll probably continue to be for a while.
Well, it was nice talking to you. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
okay, bye.
Oh, God. Go Vols. Go Vols. Go Vols. Okay, Woodstock. So you've seen a lot of change in Atlanta because I remember coming to Atlanta in like the early aughts and
Yeah,
downtown being dead, like absolutely
yeah.
dead.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say it's like I was living out in the suburbs, so I wasn't
Oh,
like in Atlanta to like see exactly that change go on. But I've been living now in Atlanta since 2012 or something.
yeah.
And even in that span, and I'm sure like every city just changes. Like you live somewhere long enough, you'll be like, well, this place has really changed.
Yeah.
One would, I don't know. I'm okay with certain changes, of course, but it really has I feel like it's gotten really great for the creativity scene. Like there's been
Okay.
a lot of like really cool mural work that's been happening kind of the past like 7 or 8 years. There's a group called Living Walls,
Oh,
and they do a lot of beautiful work throughout the city. So I feel like it's now becoming more of a creative hub. Whereas like I remember, after graduating school, it was like, do I go to New York for design? Do I go to LA for design? And that's when you needed to live in the city that you were going to find
right.
work for. And obviously that's changed a lot.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, Atlanta will be a good place to start. Both my husband and I have family that lives in Georgia. So it's like we wanted to be in a creative community, but also still kind of be close enough to our families.
And
So
now Atlanta's what, like the fifth biggest city in the country or something like that?
I don't know. It's a big one.
Yeah.
It's a cool city. I like it. So
I think from all the TV shows and movies, it's grown so much that it is like one of the top cities, which is wild to me. It's
yeah. But luckily it's still pretty affordable. Like if we go like to like New York or like
yeah.
San Francisco or something like that, we're like, we can't live here.
No. I hate saying it, since the pandemic, it's kind of getting that way here in Knoxville because of people moving away from big, California. We've got a lot of Californians, we got a lot of Floridians, a lot of New Yorkers moving here, and it's just like it's making the house prices and rent crazy right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I try to remember, what is the bougie part of Atlanta that's right north of it? I always forget what it's called.
I mean, there's like Buckhead, there's Johns Creek,
Buckhead.
there's Buckhead.
That's where my friend lives,
Yeah.
and driving around seeing like a Hermes store and stuff. It's like, in Buckhead?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I don't
go to those parts. Like no offense to Buckhead or anything, but I like we live in kind of a sleepier neighborhood in South Atlanta. We're kind of closer to the airport, which I also love because I love to be able to like just the knowledge that I could get on a plane in like 15 minutes is like a very freeing idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not big into like the city scraper vibe. Like I want trees and little cute bungalow houses and stuff like that. But I still want culture. I want it all.
Yeah.
Give me everything.
All right, Violet Beauregard.
I want it now.
let's calm down a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, here with all the development, it's kind of they're building out these condos and stuff. I was like, can you at least make them look good, please?
Yeah.
They look so ugly. I was like, come on, man.
I know.
It's still, I don't mind a city, but you got to make it look better, man.
I know. I'm all about, well, obviously we're about aesthetics. Like I
Yeah.
want to see like old houses get restored and all that, but obviously
Yeah.
that's an expense and everything for people. But I just went to my sister and brother-in-law, they live in Richmond,
Oh yeah.
Virginia, and I didn't realize how like freaking charming that town
Yeah.
is. It's just like beautiful. Like, and that really does make a difference when you're living somewhere and it's aesthetically pleasing. The architecture's interesting and there's a really cool combo of,
Yeah.
tree, like the trees are working with the city or that vibe. Like it really makes a difference. So
Yeah. Yeah. Autumn in Virginia is pretty spectacular. I've had to
yeah.
drive up there a few times and it's like, holy hell, man. It's like somebody just cranked up the volume on
I know.
like
It's like an inspirational poster for fall or something like that. Is Billy Crystal there in his sweater? Like
I was gonna go with, is Pinterest here? Is this where Pinterest gets all the photos for the fall
right?
vibes? Like, what is happening here?
Yeah, exactly. And also, like the people go all out decorating for Halloween too, which I love.
Oh
Like
my
I
God.
love that they're rallying behind that because yeah,
Yeah.
that's like the best holiday.
It's hilarious because behind me, this couple, they've got a bunch of kids and they have a fence around their backyard, but they still have the giant skeleton and werewolf.
Yeah.
And they're up all year round. So when I walk out my back door, they're just staring at me.
Oh
like
gosh.
like from
Like
over the
good
fence.
morning.
Yeah, morning. And there's another guy. Do you know who Rob Sheridan is?
No.
He was the art director for Nine Inch Nails forever.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
He um has a skeleton up permanently in his front yard, but he decorates it for every holiday. So for like
Okay.
St. Patty's Day, it's like got an Irish hat on. It's the
Yeah,
best. Him
I
and his
love
wife
it.
are super creative.
I love that. I feel like the
Yeah.
skeleton's like everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like as he dresses up for every holiday, like nothing to see here.
I did once mention him. I was like, man, I can't wait to see how you dress that thing up for Arbor Day. Arbor Day is going to be the best. Like that's what
Random
I would do.
obscure holidays. Yeah.
That's what I would do with it is I would find the most obscure holidays and be like, let's go with this. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh okay, so you grew up around the area.
Mhm.
What did your folks do when you were little? Or
Yeah. There and still, my
and
dad's a
still, yeah.
my dad's a dentist and my
Okay.
mom is a nurse. So super awesome medical powerhouse couple.
Okay.
But they're also incredibly creative too. Like we would always do a bunch of yard work growing up, which like I loved it. Well, my dad, he used to work for a landscaping company when he was
Okay.
in college. Oh, I just saw your mug, but I thought it was like actually a
Oh,
dog in
no.
the corner.
Sorry, no.
Yeah. Um, but like they they always like, I don't know, inspired my sister and myself to be creative. Like
Okay.
I had a little apron that was like had crayon pockets. Like it was like made to hold my crayons, like
Okay.
yeah,
So
they
they
definitely fostered creativity.
and was art something you found on your own, or was that something they were kind of like, hey, you should give this a shot?
Well, actually my grandma, she's an artist.
Oh,
So that kind of opened up my eyes at a pretty young age, like knowing like what art is. And she was so cool. She dabbled in all kinds of mediums. Like she was into like making rugs and tapestries, but also painting and also sculpting. Like she just was so like just curious. So she would always do a bunch of really, really cool art projects with my sister and myself. Like we would, do watercoloring on the
hmm,
wharf and like make cool custom pillowcases and just we
okay.
always had something like she was kind of just crazy like in the best sense like I don't know just so much creativity. So that's my dad's mom. So I think because of her like he always had an appreciation for the arts and my mom always did too even though like no one really in her side of the family was an artist per se but I just feel like they've always been like big supporters of the arts. Like she was in ballet and stuff like that. Like,
Okay.
like I feel like they were art curious and art appreciators, but they never did that professionally. And even though my grandma was an artist, I still didn't fully understand that you could be a professional artist. I just like thought it was a hobby or something like that. I never fully got the full picture of what she did. Um, which I feel like is problematic, but because she was doing art all the time, but also I don't know if she needed to do art to be like financially supporting the household because my grandpa was also a dentist, so I think he was like the like the money bringer in, or whatever you call
Uh,
that.
the breadwinner. There you go.
Thank you. Like, what did I say?
No, I'm going to lobby Congress to change it to the money
Money
bringer
bringer. That's what he did.
I love that. That needs to be on a business card. Screw dentist, money bringer inner. Yeah.
So anyways, I feel like I didn't know that you could be an artist professionally until like I was actually in college, and learned what graphic design was.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the more commercial side of art. And maybe that, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
you're fine. I'm just rambling now.
I was going to say, no, that's the name of the podcast. Is your sister in any, is it just you and your sister?
Yes, it's the two of us.
Is she in a creative field at all? Or
She sure is.
Okay.
She is a writer, but she's also got a great brain for design. So she works with a group. They're called Principal, and they're
Okay.
based in Houston. And it's a really cool like boutique branding agency. They do beautiful work. So Erin, my sister, she does like the writing and like the strategy, but she also has a really good eye for design. She's not actually like making the designs, but she will oversee like
Okay. Art direct a little bit or guide.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. So yeah, we're both so she's 4 years older than I am. So she kind of got into the creative field first, and that sort of opened my eyes to graphic design because she was going in for writing, and then that kind of
Okay. Were you all into comics or cartoons as a kid?
Definitely
kids?
cartoons. Yeah. I wish I had been more into comics. That wasn't like I wasn't really exposed to that, but I think I would have like freaking loved comics,
Yeah.
manga and stuff like that. But definitely like cartoons, like anything that was on Nickelodeon, like Rugrats, Doug, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay.
But I
Yeah.
remember always wanting to like watch Sailor Moon and the Powerpuff Girls, but like we weren't allowed to watch those for some reason. I think my parents were just trying to cap the amount of television that we had. But we watched a ton of like Disney movies and stuff too. Disney is a huge part of why I was like I loved art.
Imagine that. Imagine
Yeah.
that.
What?
Seeing your art. Imagine that.
The thunk.
I'm going to go on a little side note here.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to San Francisco and went to the Walt Disney Family Museum? I think is what it's called.
Oh, I didn't go to the museum. I've been to San Francisco, but
Okay.
ooh.
It's in, I think, the Presidio. I went to it. It looks like a campus.
Oh, cool.
And I went, and they were having a Fantasia exhibit when I went there because that's my favorite.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they were having and they had the original sketches, and then they had a 7-plane camera to where you could see.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
There you
Yes.
go.
Oh my gosh, that must have been so cool.
It was wild because I ended up walking into their library. Apparently it is a working campus. And I walked into the library. I was like, I'm looking for this is like 2010. I was like, I'm looking for the museum. And they're like, oh yeah, you need to keep going that way. I was like, okay. I feel like I just like barged in on somebody's work day or something. But
You're like, but also like I'm in the library. Can I please look at these books? Like while I'm here.
Seriously. Like as a more grown up now, I would have been like, hey, can I just hang out in here for a minute? I'm not going to worry about the 3 or 4 buses I had to take to get here. Cause it was like you had to interchange. And I was like, I was stressing out about that.
Yeah. You were already a little bit frazzled.
Yeah. Whereas now I'd be like, I don't care what the Uber costs. I'm going to be here for a while.
Yeah. So I'm just going to make my money like count. Well, okay. I want to know, what are your favorite like scenes from Fantasia?
Shoot, I always call it coffee. It's from the Tchaikovsky, crap.
Well, so the
Nutcracker.
Yeah.
That piece.
Oh, nice.
Because the piece of music is called, it's a subgenre of I think it's the Nutcracker, and it's called.
Is it that one
God.
or?
Now I'm gonna have to.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's with all like the falling leaves and stuff, and they look like little like ballet dancers, and you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I'm gonna just search Fantasia coffee Disney and hope I can pull it up. Because that piece of music, the version used, oh God, I'm getting like mugs. It's like that's not what I'm looking for.
But like maybe it is what you need.
Maybe it is, yeah. Fantasia film. That's what that. Oh God bless it. No, I'm just getting coffee mugs.
We need to find it. We need closure.
Yeah, let me just do Fantasia film, and I'll look up the music, and maybe that will help me.
I'm looking it up too.
I'm on the spot now because I'm like, am I remembering this? That's one of those. It has
I
been.
think it's Waltz of the Flowers. I think that's what it is.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah, with all the little fairies and stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I found it.
There it is. The fairies, the fish, the flowers, the mushrooms. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Why is it? Oh, it's called Arabian Dance, but I think it's also called Coffee.
Oh, wait.
I
I might be thinking of a different one.
Okay.
This is the one I was. Oh, where?
Oh shoot.
Hold on. That's not really working. It's all the fairy vibes.
That may be the Rite of Spring one.
Oh, okay. Because there's one that's mushrooms too.
That is the one I'm talking about, the Nutcracker Suite. Yeah. Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. I was going to say, am I crazy that this is called Coffee? I swear it is. Well, it doesn't
Well,
matter. It
I
doesn't
know,
matter.
and no, this matters. Okay, but you're not crazy because in the Nutcracker there is like the coffee dance or whatever. Like I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about, but I don't think that translates to Fantasia. So I think that's where we're like hung
Oh my
up.
God. Maybe so. Fantasia film soundtrack. Oh my God. There's people. There's a podcast I listen to where they
Like
say
Arabian coffee. That's what it is.
people are shouting at their ham radios, and I love that. People are the listeners sitting at home shouting at his ham radio. Arabian Dance. Why is it not called? Okay, that's going to kind of drive me nuts. I was like, I swear to God, it's called Coffee somewhere. Yeah, to where it looks like it's the fish.
Oh, I love those fish.
Okay, now I'm getting.
And they've got like super long eyelashes and
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it's that one. Oh
I
my
think
God.
that's your favorite.
Yes.
Mr. I'm such a fan of Fantasia, but I can't name my favorite scene.
Well, I haven't seen it in forever. I swear, and I'll say this: since I did not get COVID, but since the pandemic, my brain has just kind of turned to mush, and I can't remember anything. And Fantasia, I think, is one of those films that it makes me. I was just talking about this to somebody else. It makes me like feel things. So Shawshank Redemption is my favorite film. I love Fantasia. I can't watch them all the time because I feel like they
feel too much.
Yeah, it imprints on me. Whereas I can watch When Harry Met Sally, even though that also imprints on me. It feels like a warm hug. It doesn't make me want to end by sobbing and crying at the end. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I understand. So you need like every like 10 years you can watch Fantasia.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that is it. Arabian Dance Ballet Fishes sequence. That's it.
Okay.
I know it more by the music because I have that song in a playlist on Spotify. So I hear that song come up.
Yeah.
More than I've seen that scene. So
that was tricky though, because it was like it's Tchaikovsky, so we think of the Nutcracker, but then like there's nothing about the Nutcracker in Fantasia, so that you're just like coffee fish, like
coffee fish. And I swear
that's the one.
it is called Coffee somewhere because I was like, that's the song. That's the song. I swear it is. But I think it is like Arabian coffee, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, people are home like, you're in that 1 star. You earned that 1 star on your podcast.
We're gonna find them though.
So what is your favorite or what is your favorite Disney film?
Okay, well, my favorite part of Fantasia is the Centaurettes. I love them.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, I always just like when the girls are getting all dressed and ready, and like they're like the little cupids are arranging like doves on their hair to get them all ready for the suitors and stuff like that. I just always thought they were so pretty. And the music was really lovely too. So that would be my favorite scene in Fantasia. But my favorite Disney movie, I feel like I like them all for different reasons. So aesthetically, I love Beauty and the Beast. Like I love the way that world looks, but I also love Hercules because that art style is so different, like animation style wise than the other ones. And it's really funny. And I love like like the combo of like gospel music with Mount Olympus and Greek mythology. Like it's just so it stands apart. But then I also love like the one that really makes me laugh is The Emperor's New Groove. And I feel like that's underrated and it's so good.
So,
Um,
so my little sister is 11 and a half years younger than me.
mhm.
And so there is a line of demarcation where I stopped watching Disney films.
Yeah.
But I would kind of see them in the background because of her. And I also took her to every Pixar film until the pandemic happened. Like even
Oh,
when she was
wow.
like 30,
Yeah.
still taking her to Pixar films.
Oh, I
Like
love
that
that.
was our thing together. And now we're like 10 films behind at this point. We
Like
need
we
to
gotta
actually
catch up.
sit down and have a marathon one weekend. So a lot of those like Hercules and Emperor's New Groove are
Mhm.
completely lost on me.
Oh my
I
gosh. Well, you have some work to do.
that's my homework. That's
After
my
you watch
homework.
Coffee Fish, then you
Coffee
gotta watch
fish.
The Emperor's New Groove. Oh, it's so good because what is it? Edith Head. She does not Edith Head, that's the costume designer.
Oh,
Who did Catwoman? Eartha Kitt. That's what I'm
Eartha
thinking of.
Kitt. Yeah.
Eartha Kitt. She does the voice for Yzma, and she just crushes it. She's so you have to
Okay.
watch it. Please watch it. It's so
Okay.
good.
I'm writing it down at the bottom next to the Living Walls mural group of Atlanta. I
Oh yeah.
always write down the things I need to look up. Emperor's New Groove.
Mhm.
Emperor's. I just saw a thing the other day that was saying how weird it was that Disney produced The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
That movie is dark.
Yeah.
It is yeah, I watched it as an adult and I was like, this is creepy. Like it's I think it's I want to say the villain's name is Frodo, but that's also Frodo Baggins, and now
Right.
I'm feeling unsure. But he's creepy. He's like
Okay.
crushing on Esmeralda in a creepy way, and then he's got all this like religious stuff going on too, and
Huh.
like internal demons and stuff he's dealing with. It's dark. It's like not for children. I don't know. Like
Oh my God.
it's but there's funny gargoyles who come to life. Everything's
Yeah.
fine. Like
And I will say, because of, I don't know how big you are on TikTok.
Mhm.
Somebody did a mashup of a song from that and from How to Train Your Dragon. I love How to Train Your Dragon. I will
Ooh,
say that.
that's a good
And
one.
they mashed up those two together.
Mhm.
And it's like somebody driving through a tunnel in Arcadia National Forest. And all of a sudden it cuts into the How to Train Your Dragon when it opens up and you can see all the mountains.
Yeah.
And every time I watch one of those videos, it's just like little tears coming down. It's like, God, whoever thought to mash these two songs, it's the song Up There, I
Yeah.
think is what's called from that. It's like whoever decided to mash these two songs together, man, I want to give them a hug and a kiss on the top of the head because this is, man, you're pulling out all kinds of emotions, man. This is amazing.
Like I feel too much.
Yeah, I feel too much. This is going to go in the closet with Fantasia, and Shawshank Redemption.
Exactly.
Like they're going to go over there. I can't deal. Well, that's like I love Wally and Monsters Inc. when it
Oh
comes to a
gosh.
Pixar, but same thing. It's like I can't, especially not Monsters Inc. Man, I
Yeah.
can't watch that all the time because
Ugh.
I think that's the best ending of any
Like
Pixar
when
film.
Sully and Boo have to part ways, that part.
No, it's when he walks into the spoiler alert for a film that's like 15, 20 years old. When he at the very end where he walks in her door and you
Oh.
hear her say his name. It's
Kitty,
or she
yeah.
calls him Furry. What
Kitty?
Kitty. When she
Yeah.
says Kitty, like I was in the theater
Yeah.
just like, good sweet
Like,
Jesus, what is going on, man? This
yeah.
is, oh. And all the stuff
Weeping.
with the doors, like Kids in Peril. Is
Yeah.
where I start having to get up and start pacing the room because I'm like,
Oh,
nope.
Pacing the theater. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, nope. This not happening on my watch, man.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. And Wally is just the story between the two of the main characters is beautiful and it's
Mhm.
really sad. Like
Mhm.
talking about, there's a lot there.
I
to
know.
unpack
I
there.
feel like they have this whole like dashboard, like the Pixar animators and team have this dashboard of like a tear knob, like crank up the tears or like crank up the like angst. Like they know exactly what they're doing. It's like an emotional panel that they have, and
Yeah.
like they know how to control. Like
There's a buddy of mine, Michael May. I love telling this quote because he's a big Norwegian looking dude that lives in Minnesota.
Mhm.
And he tweeted out after seeing Toy Story 3, he's like, Pixar, you've been trying to make me cry for 20 years and you finally did it, you
Oh,
bastards.
what got him? What got him?
I don't know that he's ever said if it was them when they were about to die or for me, it was the scene where Andy had to give up. God, spoilers abound in this. When Andy had to give up Woody at the end, like that
Oh,
came at a time when I was just the right age where I was like, man, this is like a growing up. Oh God, it's
yeah. Are we
rough.
gonna start crying?
No.
But I also like that this is like Disney Pixar reviews like 20 years later. We're like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
spoiler alert.
Real
Like,
spoiler alert. Spoiler alert for a film that's 20 years old. It is wild. Like older films and stuff. Like one of my friend's daughter, who's 5,
Mhm.
just this year really got into Home Alone. And
Oh yeah.
she told me she was like, she has watched Home Alone, I'm not kidding you, at least 8 times. And I was like, that's
Welcome.
awesome. It's because it's like a cartoon. Home
Yeah.
Alone is a cartoon. So yeah, hell yeah. I'm all for that.
You
Okay.
know, I didn't grow up watching that. Sorry, anyways,
No,
continue. I
no,
could talk about movies
you
forever.
didn't
I'm like,
you
let's
didn't
talk about
no, you can go like okay, I'm gonna give you because I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Because I'm a little bit older, my 2 Disney films are
Mhm.
Robin Hood
Oh, so good.
and Sword in the Stone. I think
Yes,
those 2 are underappreciated
they
classics.
really are. Yes. Robin Hood is great too. What is the name of the songwriter?
Roger Miller,
Roger
because I'm a
Miller.
huge Roger Miller fan, and
Yeah,
those songs in that film are beautiful and
they really
fun.
are. They
Yeah,
really are. He's like a great artist to listen to for like a road trip or something. Well, King of the
oh yeah,
Road. That's
yeah,
one of uh dude, Robin Hood is so good. And
yeah.
Prince John is like one of the best villains too, because he's so harmless, but he's also like just cutely evil. Yeah, uh-huh.
Anytime he
Uh-huh.
sucks on his finger, it's just like on his thumb. It's like this is hilarious.
It's so good. And then Sword in the Stone too. I feel like that one's really forgotten. But
Yeah.
like I love Madame Mim. Like she's such a cool sorceress. Like evil, like you got great taste.
Okay. Thank you. It's weird because how do you, I will, one thing I forgot to tell you, we will eventually circle back to work. I swear. How do you feel about the live, I'm going to air quotes around
Oh, live action.
live remakes?
Man, there's only one that I've really enjoyed watching, and I thought they did a good job with Aladdin. And I remember Will Smith talking about like there's no
Right.
way that I could try and recreate Robin Williams. There's no way. So I'm just gonna have to do like me as Genie. So I felt like there was something new and original and fresh
Okay.
versus just another retelling of the same story that we know with the exact same scenes. But that's the only one I enjoyed. I feel like all the others have just been like there's just not really a sense of freshness or a new take, really. Actually, no. The Little Mermaid was really good too. I really liked that live action remake because they were like they had a more interesting cast.
Yeah.
But when they're just doing like the same like Beauty and the Beast, it's exactly it's not really doing much more than the animated version already did. In
Yeah.
my humble opinion, not like I'm this movie expert or
Oh,
something, but
no.
like personally, I just was like, I'll just watch the animated one. Like
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
That's when I finally saw the Jungle Book, I was kind of
Yeah.
angry because I was like, this is literally just a cartoon.
Yeah.
Like because it's all anime. So what's funny, because I can't not mention, there are 3 names I mention on every podcast. So here's number 1.
Mhm.
Kevin Smith had actually predicted in like 03, 04. He said, whenever they bought Pixar, he was like, I guarantee you Disney in like 10 to 20 years will remake all these films
Yeah.
as Pixar films. And then
Oh.
when they did the first live action, he was like, well, I was wrong. It's live action. He's
Yeah.
like, I still guarantee they'll do a Pixar version eventually
Oh,
because
for sure.
they got to make that money.
Oh, they'll do Toy Story, I bet.
Oh no, he meant the other way. He
Ye-
meant do Jungle Book in the style of a Pixar film.
No, I got you, but eventually like we'll do like turn Pixar movies into live actions
Oh God.
too.
I didn't
Right?
even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's no.
What's this
No.
world coming to?
Although I always go back to because I'm a big comic book nerd.
Mhm.
And when they screw up versions for film or TV, I'm always like, you know what I got in the other room? I got the comic books and I can read those.
Yeah,
I love
I'll just
those.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like I don't want to be all like curmudgeon-y and not be willing to watch a new version of something because there
Yeah.
is the potential for them to do some really cool stuff. But like sometimes it's just not
Yeah.
good. I feel like they're just trying to make money and they do
Yeah.
make money off of it.
So my biggest, I think one of my biggest film hot takes is there is a film that is a legacy sequel that is probably in my top 25
Hmm.
and especially in my top 10 of watched that everybody craps on and they're wrong. It's actually a great film, and that's Tron Legacy. I think
Okay.
Tron Legacy is a great film that everybody craps on. They're like, it's too overly complicated. I was like, no, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not the, and also the first Tron was not that good. So
Okay.
it feels like they actually did it because they had an interesting story to tell, not to just make money. Because
Yeah.
Tron tanked at the box office.
Okay, now you're gonna have to remind. So I'm not as familiar with Tron, but wasn't there like an old, like a 50s or 60s version of it
Mm-mm.
too, or something? And
No,
then there was the one that.
no,
Okay.
there was one in 82, 83, the one with Jeff Bridges, where he
Oh,
gets
okay.
sucked into the computer,
Okay.
and it's just boring. It's
Okay.
sorry for anybody who loves Tron. It's a boring film.
But was that based off of a comic, or
No,
that was
it was
just
an
okay? That was the
original
first
idea.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they made Tron Legacy in like 09,
Yeah.
08. And it's just the visuals are stunning. The music, they got Daft Punk to do the music, but they
Oh,
also included, if you want a working soundtrack to listen to that
yeah.
Tron Legacy soundtrack
Okay.
because it's great. It's like them doing the electronica thing, but also with symphonies,
Oh,
a full
cool.
symphony behind. It's gorgeous.
I mean, you sold me. I've never seen it,
Yeah,
so okay, count me
it's,
in.
but it is complicated in that, but it's like the dude gets, spoiler alert. Oh, good Lord. The dude gets sucked into a computer and he finds out that there is an AI in the computer. Like
Ooh.
like that's 14 years ago or whatever, and it's prescient for today. But I read all the reviews. I was like, why did everybody crap on this film? It's like, oh, it's too complicated. I was like, no, no, it really wasn't.
It's like we just weren't ready.
Yeah,
We couldn't
yeah,
handle it.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, here we
Hot
go.
take.
We're gonna get back. Look at this. I'm reeling it back in.
Okay.
Do you remember the first piece or artist that made you kind of take notice? Was it your grandmother or was it somebody outside of that?
I mean, I would say sure my grandma as far as like being able to have an understanding of what art is.
Okay.
But as far as a specific piece goes, that's hard. I don't know.
Or artist. It could be an artist. Like it could be Disney. It could be you saw a Disney film and that.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many things that like you see that are just imprinting on you and you don't even know as you're a kid and as you're growing up. So I'm sure it was like a combo of my grandma and like TV and animated Disney movies and stuff like that that were all having some sort of effect on me. Ultimately like defining what my
Okay.
tastes would be later on. But I loved like in college getting to do art history classes. I loved getting to like just have my eyes open to like more like worldly art.
Okay.
But even just like understanding art movements like Art Nouveau, like in that whole time period where
Yeah.
it's like combining um just like it's sort of a rebellion against like the industrial revolution and they're trying to like lean into more like natural, like bringing nature into art, like just like kind of learning about concepts like that. There's not really one specific piece where I'm like that's the artist I'm going to be, and it's just it
Yeah.
was exciting to just be exposed to more.
Okay. So in high school, did you have like art classes or anything?
No, I didn't take art classes in high school. Maybe I took one, but you kind of had to choose between like band, chorus, or art for your like arts and culture vibe. And so I
Yeah.
was a chorus girl. Like that was or not chorus girl, like a lineup kicking
Yeah.
my leg. I was in chorus.
Also, the way you did your hands, I thought you were going to start doing jazz hands right there.
There
Yeah.
was a show choir and that one seemed really fun, but I'm a really bad dancer, so count me out. But yeah, I did like chorus and I thought I was
Okay.
gonna go more into music,
Okay.
like and like voice in college and everything. But then I like flailed around for a while, like trying to figure out what I could do because I just didn't know that you could really how to make a living as a creative person. It's just like there's not
Yeah.
unless you have somebody in your life who is actually doing that. And I did have my grandma, but I didn't fully connect the dots on what she was doing or like um but like I didn't see anyone doing it in like business sense.
Okay.
So it didn't seem like a possibility for a
Did
long
your
time.
did your sister kind of did she have a path she was looking, or were you both kind of trying to figure it out together, or was she more like, no, I want to do writing, I want to do this?
I think she always wanted to do writing, but like she was going more into the advertising. So my grandpa
Okay.
was in advertising. He was more on the business side of it versus the creative, and she wanted to get into the creative part of advertising. And my aunt worked in newspapers too. So like I think we understood what advertising was, and that was maybe more the commercial side of creativity where it's like, oh, you can actually get a job because, you know, we're going to college and we're trying to figure out ways that we can get jobs. And so I think Aaron sort of leaning into that, that did open both of us, our minds up to graphic design. And that also seemed maybe more of the commercial side, um, to where it was like, oh, there's a career path for this.
Yeah.
So I always was more the visual person, and she's an amazing writer.
Okay.
So yeah, Aaron
So
kind of, she trailblazed that.
okay. So you mentioned graphic design. So I'm also so this year in October I hit 31 years. Is that right? 31?
Wow.
I think it's 31 years doing graphic. Hell, I can't remember. I don't think that's right. I think it's 32. Maybe 32. Holy shit, I'm old. Okay.
Either
That
way, it's in the 30s.
31. No, it's 31. It's 31 because
Wow.
my high school was a vocational school.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we had a physical print shop where we did offset lithography, but there were only 2 computers in the entire school, and one of them was in print shop. So we
Wow.
took on real clients. So I've been a designer for 31 years this year.
That is so cool. I love like the vocational schools where it's almost like an apprenticeship or something
Yeah.
like that. I just think that's so smart.
And they had work study too, to where there were a few guys that would leave school at noon and would
mhm,
go work in a print shop all afternoon, 5
yeah,
days a week. Like
yeah,
they actually had jobs. Because
that's cool.
it was a very poor school. So it was like a lot of these kids ain't going to college. So we got to figure out some way to get them to hell,
Oh yeah.
get
I
them
mean, that's
money.
smart to give that structure though. Like,
Yeah.
how did you feel about, I mean, did you sort of fall into like that design area, or like did you feel like you had to choose your fate too young? Like you get like boxed in,
No,
or okay.
I knew I wanted to work in computers. And
Mm-hmm.
since there were only 2 classes that had computers, it was graphic arts, which was
Mm-hmm.
printing, and then drafting. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew I didn't want to be doing drafting because I did not have the brain for drafting, for the
Okay.
math and all that. But graphic design, and I think out of everyone that I grew up with, there's only 2 of us still doing it right now.
Oh
Like
wow.
it's kind of crazy.
Are you still
Uh,
in touch?
uh, Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know what because he was a year ahead of me.
Okay.
But oddly enough, he went to college after me. So he graduated, I think, after me.
Mm-hmm.
But he was working for one of the papers here in town there for a while.
Yeah.
And I've had a weird career over the years. So, but do I feel like, no, I'm so happy. Because then by the time I got to college and I was taking an intro to Mac class, I had 4 years of working on a Mac.
Oh
And
yeah.
because it was a poor school, I had to figure out all the problems. I had to troubleshoot.
Oh
So
yeah.
I was teaching. I didn't go to UT. I went to Mississippi, which was a technical community college.
Mm-hmm.
So I was teaching 30 to 40-year-old people how to use a computer.
Yeah.
No, I was 17. I was like, no, you don't have to click on the folder and go up to file, open. You just double click on it. It's so much easier. The teacher was trying to say, click on a folder, go to file, open.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, click,
You're like,
click,
I know,
click, click.
I know a better way.
I was, but there was a guy that had flunked out of UT that he helped make me a fake ID in the back one time. Like that's what we were doing. Like it was very cool to go to college and already kind of be a little bit ahead of the curve. So then I
Yeah, of
could learn
course.
about theory and history and
Hmm.
color and all that. I could focus on that because I didn't have to worry about the computer or the apps.
Yeah, like
Because I already,
you
yeah,
have more space in your brain to be able to take on
yeah,
that other
yeah.
creative knowledge. That's great. I mean, because I'm glad it worked out for you too, where it was like this is what I wanted to do, and I know so like clearly that this
Yeah.
is what my focus is going to be. Um, Because I feel like a lot of times people just have to like you have to choose your thing, and then
Yeah.
that's going to be your thing for the rest of your life. And we just get so boxed in, and that's doesn't have
There's
to be the case.
there's one thing you missed from what you said. You have to choose your thing when you're still a child, when you're still 18. That's
Yeah.
the messed up part of it all.
Yeah.
You're going to owe $80,000 in college debt,
Yeah.
and you have to figure out what you want to do right now, right now,
Yeah.
right now.
This is
Hurry,
you. Do it
hurry,
now.
hurry, hurry, go. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
No,
terrifying.
in my family, my parents are both blue collar, and everybody above them. Dad
Mhm.
was a truck driver, mom worked for the phone company. So it was like, in hell, seventh grade, I had a job.
Yeah.
It was like, no, you're going to go out there and work. You got to,
Yeah.
no, no, we're not paying for your stuff. You got to figure that out. So
Yeah. That's
I got,
respectable.
but I also feel lucky that I figured out what I wanted to do very early on. But then
Yeah.
again, also the thing of, God bless. I'm trying to. This is why I get the 1 star, because I start talking and rambling over here, and
But
nobody
it's in the
wants to.
name of the podcast.
I know.
So like if you can't accept rambling, you shouldn't be here.
So, in being a better designer, like, because I was already at a certain level of design, then I
Mhm.
got to not have to worry about learning more, and I got to learn marketing. I got to
Yeah.
learn analytics and strategy, and I got to learn photography and videography and all
Yeah.
that, to where, and then I would come back to design and be like, okay, I need to figure out how to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
So now I'm such a more well-rounded person.
Yeah.
that- Like, my day
And
job
it's like
right
you
now.
had 8 years of college versus like the 4,
Yeah.
because you were doing it in high school.
Uh, it's like right now, my main job is I am director of branding for an insurance company, but
Mhm.
95% of my job is marketing, SEO, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's wild, because it's like, man, thank God I actually learned how to do that stuff,
Yeah.
because graphic design is that's a hard, it's hard to get jobs now in graphic design. Everybody wants UI, UX people, it seems like, more than design.
I guess so. It just depends on the type of design you're trying to do as well,
Yeah.
But I think too, it's important, like, uh, as technology evolves and everything, to try and do work that uses your brain, where like only a human can do that. So I love branding for that
Yeah.
reason, where it's like, well, sure, you can make something on your own, or you can hire someone to just make something very like flippant and like surface level, or you can hire somebody to like really think about like your brand voice and who you are. And like, I think just bringing more design thinking, more than just the aesthetics of it,
Yeah.
is where the future is going to be, as far as finding jobs,
I I I still do freelance work. And I had a meeting with somebody wanting me to brand their company. And
Mhm.
I kept telling him, I was like, what is your budget? And he was like, no,
Mhm.
don't worry about it. Just tell us whatever it is. Like, okay. So I sent him what it was. He was like, that's way too much. We just wanted a logo. I was like,
Mhm.
all right, so you need to go on Fiverr and just pay $20 and get a
Mhm.
logo. You don't need what I do. Because
Yeah, and I think some people just aren't educated to like know
yeah,
why they should pay the big bucks for it.
yeah,
Or it's not even like big bucks, it's just
it
like
was
why they
not.
should pay a fee. I feel like I've had to sort of well, I always like to have like a kickoff call where I'd sort of explain, like, here's what you will get from me, where you have to
Yeah.
pitch it. Like, I feel like you have to pitch it because now people just think that things just happen within like the snap of your fingers. And
Yeah,
you have to be like, this is a process.
that's what happened. Is I had an entire hour and a half lunch with the dude.
And he still
And
didn't.
then I sent him an email breaking down every portion of it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
gave him a discount because he's somebody I knew from a previous project. I was like, oh, it's you and your brother. I'll just do it for this.
Yeah.
And I told it to a friend of mine who's a photographer. He's like, you undercharged. I was like, I did. And he still
Yeah.
said it was too much. So, but
Yeah.
here's the thing, doing it this long, I know to just go, good luck, move on.
Yeah, no, it's like it's already like a tarnished relationship at
Yeah.
the beginning. This is probably not going to go well for either of us, but
Well, it's also, I hate to say it, I don't care. I'm like, then
yeah.
I don't have what you need. Then Mazel Tov, go figure it out somewhere else. Like,
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's like, well, I'm glad that you also have you've got a steady daytime job too, to
Yeah.
where you can have the ability to like say no.
Yeah.
Because I know that there's a lot of people who like, if you're
Yeah.
freelancing full time, you have to say yes to some things that sometimes you don't want to, but
Yeah, that's what I did
Ugh.
for 6.5 years as I full-time freelanced. And
Okay, so you know.
oh yeah, it was awesome and I would never take it back, but man, was it brutal at times.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
chasing down people for just pay your bill, man. Just pay your
Yeah.
bill.
Yeah. I
Pay
feel
your,
that.
anyway.
No.
So you went to UGA.
Hmm.
Did they have a good like design program there?
They did. I think it was more of like a traditional design program. So most of the teachers had like they were probably going to be in like their at that time like their 50s or 60s. So like they very much like came from the old school like
Yeah.
version of teaching, which is great because I feel like that's a good foundation. But I will say, as far as like the digital skills, and like learning the programs, that was more just you sort of have to learn it on your own, which is fine when you've got a young, like malleable, bendy mind. You have the ability to figure stuff out. But I do wish that like more of my teachers had been practicing in the field. As far as because we were just like, how do we get jobs? How do we get jobs? That's all we really cared about. I feel like in school was figuring out how to like get a job. But I will say one teacher that I absolutely adored, his name is Alex Morawski, and we had an illustration class, and he's an illustrator. And I didn't realize that that was a career path, that you could be an illustrator. And that was like huge for me. So after graduating school, like I got a job as a graphic designer at an animation studio, Primal Screen, here in Atlanta. Um, but like, and sort of like, I was like, I want to do illustration. Like, I really want to do illustration. I just don't know how. There's not really a clear career path. Like, like where you get hired
Yeah.
as an illustrator and then you can climb the ladder or something like that. I think most illustrators are all just kind of working on their own.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I've discovered in the past several years. But just having that class in school where I was like, oh, you can be an illustrator, like that's a thing. I want to do that.
Yeah.
It took me years to get there, but now
No,
I'm there.
but I always think about that. It's like, but I feel like you had a stronger base to stand on
Yeah.
by taking the time to figure out that. Like if
Yeah.
you had just figured that out early on, you'd be like, but I just want to be an illustrator and didn't have anything to base that on. So
Oh,
that's
for
good.
sure. Yeah. No, I mean, if anyone wants to be an illustrator, I feel like it's great to have in your arsenal a graphic design like
Yeah.
background because that has only made my illustrations stronger. Like, and I can make my own like pitches and decks and like, I mean,
Yeah.
but I also worked with the branding firm, Rhyme and Reason Design, here in Atlanta also. So I feel like getting to work in the corporate level and to work with clients and just like understand more of the business side of things has really helped boost my illustration.
Yeah.
So
That was I worked, do you know Pet Safe?
mhm,
So I worked Pet Safe is based here in Knoxville. And I was essentially the art director there for
mhm.
a bunch of years. And I worked in more illustration like iconic. Oh my God, I'm not going to be.
Iconographic.
Yeah, I was trying to say it with GH ended in Y. Iconograph
Iconography.
iconography. Good sweet Lord. I'm going to cut all that out. I will
Yeah.
not cut any of that out. Working with icons. like like working
The
with icons.
iconographical icons.
Yeah. But it was like, man, we have to translate this stuff to like sometimes 18 different languages. Why are we not just doing icons
Oh, yeah.
to represent like here's a power level? I was like, people understand that. They're like, yeah,
Mhm,
but we still need to explain. I was like, we'll put that on the back. This needs to be more aesthetically pleasing.
mhm.
And it was weird. It took a while for me to start pushing to work in more illustration too into my design.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that. So now I run it. Good Lord. I swear it's not about me. I'm just excited.
No, you're cool. This is a conversation.
Uh,
Like,
I run a group here in town, the Knoxville Society of Illustrators. I was like,
mhm,
I'm going to name this as pretentious as humanly possible. And we meet up,
society.
we meet up once a month.
Yeah.
And I am terrible hand illustrator. So you can see my crappy drawing of what the brand should be.
I get it though.
Um, but it's great because now I get to meet all these younger illustrators or people who are like 30 and
Hmm.
like I really want to do this and talk to them about like what are you drawing on? Are you doing physical? Are you doing digital? Like are
Yeah.
you doing, and because I have the marketing brain, I'm like, I'd say I've used you as an example
Oh.
because I think you were one of the first people I saw that showed the process video of
Hmm.
drawing to where I have pulled you up and was like, this is what you need to be doing. You
Oh,
can
okay.
record the process and put that because they were always worried about like I don't have enough content. I was like,
Yeah.
there's plenty of content out there, man. I was like, you just got to do the, and I forgot, I have shown you, been like, no, here's the process. So
Oh, thanks.
you have helped me teach these youngins that are on my lawn.
Well, I love that. I know it's definitely like sometimes I enjoy sharing the process, but sometimes you're like, I just want to make it. I just want to
Yeah,
make it, and I don't
yeah,
want you to see. You don't need to know everything, but also it is really nice to invite people into it so that they can see it doesn't just magically appear.
yeah,
Especially with when we use Procreate and you just share the time lapse and it's like a 30-second time lapse. Like sometimes that's very satisfying to see, but it's like, well, actually, this took 3 to 5
yeah,
hours to make. So when you can show like little glimpses of your stylist like sketching things out, it sort of brings people back into like, oh, an actual human is making this. It's
yeah,
digital art, but a hand is being used to make it.
yeah. Well, that's the weird thing that the younger illustrators understand more is like for someone like me, it's like, holy crap, I got to be a content creator too.
Mm.
Whereas, like, there's a younger woman, Esther, that I'm kind of mentoring who's 23 or 24.
Hmm.
And she was like, oh, yeah, content creation. Yeah, that's what I do. I
Hmm.
know that. Like, she has started painting on like boots and stuff
Yeah.
she finds. So
Yeah.
she does that and resells those. And she just shows her process and talks about what she's doing. And she's got like
Hmm.
a crazy high following on TikTok, crazy high following on Instagram, all
Yeah.
from these videos. And she was like, no, she is just of an age where that is part of her life is content creation.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder too if it's like an age thing or even it's just specific to a person, whether it comes
Yeah.
naturally to you or not. Some people are really like, I'm an oversharer when it comes
Yeah.
to like, I make a thing and I get so excited. And I'm like, blue, here it is.
Yeah.
And I think other people are like, even with their process, it might take a lot longer. Like, I know for
Yeah.
me, I churn things out pretty quick and I get excited to share them. So I naturally have a lot of content. But I'm like 33, so I'm not like a youngin or anything like that where I'm like, I'm just this young person who understands all things
Yeah.
TikTok. I really don't. But I just like to share things. And I feel like that works in my advantage when it comes to social media. And I know it's not for everyone.
Well, for me, I'm very much like, oh man, here I'm gonna turn this a little bit, and you'll get to see a Waffle House menu that my uncle gave to me for my birthday. So here's like my work list,
I
and then
love that.
there's the waffle. How can I do this? There's the Waffle House, and it's like an old school Waffle House menu,
Okay. I
but
love that. You should frame that.
it even
Like,
has their phone. He wrote their phone number in Sharpie at the top because he would do call-in orders. It was
I
just up
love
the road
it.
from him,
Okay,
but
wait. I know you're about to say that, but I need to. Okay, say what you're gonna say, but then I'll need to know your Waffle House order.
this. Oh yeah. This is how my brain works.
Hmm.
Like this month, I am starting to because I have been neglecting the Feral Giant account on
Hmm.
social media because my brain after working all day, I enjoy coming home and watching Taskmaster when I get home. I don't
Yeah.
want to think about creating art or anything. It's been a real struggle.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm like, next year, 2024, I want to start publishing more content. So in my
Hmm.
mind, it's like, what is something I can do that is reoccurring? And I was like, you know what? I have all these folders of work that I did that never went anywhere, like
Hmm.
a dead files. I was
Hmm.
like, I'm gonna change them a little bit and just put Feral Giant instead.
Yeah.
And put that out. It's like, here's a piece of art I created that never went anywhere.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
Let it
gonna
have its moment.
I was like, this is going to have a weekly. I was like, but for me, it's like, okay, that's every Thursday.
Hmm.
And that's how I have to chunk things out because
Hmm.
that also makes me think I'm not going to miss a Thursday when I
Yeah.
do that. I can't
Yeah.
miss a Thursday. I have to do this every
That will be the
Thursday.
day it will become your routine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
I don't know if it's cool. It's stressful a lot of the time.
Really?
But yeah. But same thing with this podcast. Excuse me, every 2 weeks since it began, all because I heard Mark Maron say, I don't miss a Monday. And he
Mhm.
was like, no matter what, I publish a podcast every Monday. This
Okay.
was in the early days. I was like, oh yeah, I can't miss a Monday. Every 2 weeks, I got to publish a podcast. I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap. So sometimes it's like, oh God, I only got one in the can. And I
Yep.
ask 50 people. I was like, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? Hey, do you want to be on the podcast? Hey, you want to be on the podcast?
It's Monday. Yeah.
It's going to be Monday. And guess what? There's a Monday next week, and I got to get a damn podcast out.
Did you hear?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all know. So, Waffle House order. So I'm a big boy. So if I went for breakfast of a morning, I would get a triple hash brown, chunked, peppered, and I always
Mhm.
get this wrong. It's either smothered or covered, whichever one is the cheese. One of them is
I
onions,
think
one of
it's
them's cheese.
smothered.
So smothered, and then a blueberry waffle. Blueberry
Well,
waffle is a game changer.
ooh, that sounds great. Okay. See, I feel like everybody has like a little like secret Waffle House like trick, right? So
Oh
like,
yeah, I've seen those. I'm old school. I don't need all that.
but like just a thing that you didn't know you could get. Like for me,
Yeah.
it's getting a vanilla Coke. You can get a vanilla Coke
Oh
at Waffle
yeah.
House and it
Yeah.
tastes great. Like coffee's great, but like the vanilla Coke with like my 2 egg breakfast is all that I want.
Love
It's
it.
all that I
Love it.
want. You know, it's like
For
those
some
little deep
reason,
cuts.
I can't get like the lunch or dinner there. I have to
No.
get breakfast.
No, no. We don't
I was
talk
like,
about lunch
yeah,
or dinner at Waffle
yeah.
House.
Well, that's like, have you ever been to Aretha Frankenstein's in Chattanooga?
No. Okay,
I
I need to.
cannot recommend. And they just opened one here in Knoxville,
Mhm.
and I swear, originally it said they will stop serving breakfast at 11:30. It's like, no, they won't. They're known for their pancakes. I need a pancake, even if it's 1 in the
At any
afternoon.
time of the day, I need a pancake. You don't understand.
I want a pancake, damn it. So here's another, good Lord, we're going to go down the Waffle House road for a second. So, did you know, because you like the hacks,
Mhm.
there is a Waffle House holiday mug that comes out every year.
Oh,
Look
my
at that.
parents have that. Yeah.
They're my heroes because I came back from Florida, I stopped in a Waffle House in Georgia in 2019, and the waitress was like, "Would you want to buy a holiday mug?" I was like, "Wait, what is?" I've been coming to Waffle House for 30
Would
years.
I?
What are you talking about? Holiday mug? And she's like, "Yeah, we're selling them for $5, and we get $1 off of that or something." I was like, "Yeah, bring me one." And now I go here every year around this time. I was like, "Hey, do y'all have a holiday mug? What is that? We don't know what that is."
Really?
They're available on the website. So now my dad is retired and he goes to thrift stores and auctions all the time. It's like, if you ever see Waffle House holiday mug, buy that shit for me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I
was like,
love it so much.
yeah. So I've been trying to put together a collection. And because I posted this online, like
Mhm.
a former boss got me one from like 2016. She found on eBay for my
Amazing.
birthday this past year. My sister got 2022s for my birthday.
Mhm.
I want to think there was one more. Like people started to find them for me.
Well, okay. Well, I'm glad that like you sharing that information has made it possible for you to have a collection, but like
Yeah.
I'm kind of nervous that like now we're gonna just like everyone knows now, thanks to the Rambling Man podcast,
Oh my
and like
God.
we're not gonna be able to find them.
No, my social media feed has more of a draw than this podcast. Actually, no, I take that back. This podcast, I'll give you numbers right now because it blows my mind. Very minimal amount of following on social media, but I am about to hit 100,000 downloads.
Really?
Fries my brain.
Love
like,
that.
I was like, that many people listen to me talking about stupid shit?
Yeah.
Really? Really? You don't need to hear that. Listen to the people talking. Cut me out. But
Oh no, congrats. That's
no,
awesome.
thank you. But yeah, the Waffle House mugs. Apparently 2023 is already sold out. Because my
Oh.
sister, she was like, I went on there trying to get it. And she's like, they're $5. I was like, I know.
Okay. Well, I'll keep an eye out. I love thrifting and I love vintage stores and stuff.
Okay.
So I will like keep an eye out.
So that's the shoot. I thought it was sitting right here, but oh, there it is. So also, we have 2 college radio stations here. Oh my God, there's a fly in there. Awesome. two college radio stations here, WTK, WUOT. UTK's the rock station, UOT's the classical NPR station. So
Mhm.
they have a thing every year where they ask an artist to design a mug. And I designed this mug
Oh,
a few years ago.
love it.
So it's the cityscape of Knoxville. So this is another thing that I told my dad. I was like, if you ever see a WOT mug out in the wild,
Yeah,
buy it.
get
And
it.
he's found a bunch. I was like,
Oh,
I paid,
really?
even though I did this, I paid $75 for this stupid
For
mug.
your own design.
I had to donate, and the level was this. But it also, it got a lot of people to actually buy this, which I love.
I really
So,
like that design though.
thank
All
you.
the city scrapers.
Yeah, I had to get the sun sphere in there. The sun sphere is on
Yeah, that's
everything here.
cool.
So
Those would make
cool.
great little spot illustrations too, just like taking them out.
Oh, here's the thing. Because I know this, it's all in Illustrator. I have
Mhm.
used that on so many things.
Mhm.
And
Here it is again.
I have also reused the buildings for other drawings I needed to do that had nothing
Whoops.
to do with Knoxville. I was like, just place these
They
in
don't
here.
need to know. It's a building. It's
Oh,
fine.
yeah. Yeah.
I love
Uh,
that.
Okay, so what was the turning point that made you decide to do illustration, focus on illustration more than design?
Yeah. So I was working at Primal Screen and I got to do a couple of illustrative projects and I really enjoyed those. But the thing is you're working for clients, so you kind of have to camouflage your style into
Right.
whatever the client needs. And I think I kind of had this like little quarter life crisis where it was like, what am I contributing? Like I'm a fair designer. I'm good. I'm an okay illustrator as far as working in this commercial sphere, but what am I actually bringing to the creative table? Like, is there anything unique and interesting that I'm doing? And I just wasn't sure. So basically I left that job. My husband and I saved up to where like I could figure out what I wanted to do for 4 months. We had enough money for 4 months set
Yeah.
aside to where it was like, okay, do I want to do like costume design? Do I want like what creative thing do I want to do? And I just found myself like honestly freelancing because eventually we just needed to like earn money to
Right.
pay the bills. So I was freelancing as like a motion designer and graphic designer. And then one of my freelance clients, Rhyme and Reason Design, I met them at like a dribble event that they were hosting.
yeah.
And it's a small team, but like we all just like synced and like clicked really well. And so they asked me if I wanted to work for them full time, but I asked if I could work part time so that I could basically have some steady income from that and then be able to figure out what it is I want to do with illustration. Because
Okay.
I just sort of realized it is illustration for me. I don't know what that is, if it's like kids books or editorial, like I don't even know, and I need to figure out like my style all over again. Because I felt kind of atrophied as far as like my own drawing style. Like I knew how to turn on like a little design hat or illustrator hat for like and mimic a style that already existed, of course making something original but in somebody else's kind of style. So I was just like, what is my style? And so I basically started just illustrating. I was illustrating at night after my Primal Screen job too, but with Rhyme and Reason, I had more time to like actually try and like build a shop. Like, and I started posting some of the stuff that I was like drawing, and people started asking if like they could have prints, and that I was flabbergasted. I was like, I don't know if you really want that, but like, okay, I'll make a little Etsy shop, and sure, here you go. And that's kind of how Designed by Shea started, was just sharing some stuff on Instagram and people asking if they could buy it.
Was that account always illustration focused because it's called design? So was it, or did you make a conscious decision at some point to make all of that be illustration?
Yeah, it started out as like my personal Instagram account.
Okay.
So if you go way back, you can find like pictures of my cat. But
Wait, come on. We got to bring back the cat. What are you talking about?
okay, Pino Palladino, we'll bring him back.
Oh my God, that is Pino Palladino or Pina?
Pino is a bass
That's
player.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's my husband's a bass player. He named our cat.
I know.
But
That's
well,
amazing.
it's
That's
a good
amazing.
name. The only thing is it's his name is spelled Pino, and everyone's like, oh, like the wine. And I love wine, sure. But I'm like, I know that there should be a T. And I feel like I always have to explain where I'm like, It's named
Yeah.
after he's named after a bass player. And then I feel like I bring people into this conversation they never really wanted to be a part of. Where I'm like,
But-
let me tell you about my cat's name.
Here, because I can't not say the fun facts. Fun fact: Pino Palladino was in
Mhm.
Nine Inch Nails at one point.
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was somebody when he joined Nine Inch Nails. I was like, holy crap, this dude is good. Who the hell is this dude? And then I looked
Yeah.
him up. I was like, this dude's been around forever. I've been listening to this dude for like 30 years. Like,
He's
what?
been in like everything. I
Yeah.
feel like he's like sneaky that way in the best way, but he's so good.
Yeah.
Like I recognized his stuff mostly from like the John Mayer trio, like when he was
Yeah.
in that. Like that was
Yeah.
when I became more aware of him, and also like my
Like,
husband.
You know
knows
what?
him.
I can overlook the University of Georgia stuff.
Mhm.
John Mayer. No, I gotta. I've got a buddy of mine who's a musician that he'll play
Uh-huh.
me John Mayer stuff. He's like, now listen to this, isn't it? I was like, no, I
Really?
I can't separate the person from the
Oh.
music because he is, sorry.
It's
Sorry.
okay. The music is really good though.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. I'm
It
sure
is,
it is.
yeah. It's tricky. Well, that's how I feel like. I mean, there's certain I don't know. I'm not going to poo-poo on anyone on this podcast. But
Yeah, you're here's the thing, you're a better person than me because I will totally poo-poo.
but what was I going to say? Oh yeah,
Pino
the
Palladino.
account.
Yeah.
It started out personal, and then like I just was like, I was drawing things and I was like, I feel like I want to share it maybe, but I'm kind of nervous about it because like I'm not really an illustrator. Like I don't know what I'm doing, but I was like, you know what? Let me just share it to like this like place of like the internet, which is like full of strangers. And I had like family and friends who were following me, so I wasn't scared to share things that I was making with them. But then it was just kind of crazy when like people I didn't know were liking the art that I was making. That was like encouraging and like just shocking too. I was like, what? Like you like this thing too? Or like you find out like all the things that I draw kind of have like a vintage aesthetic, very whimsical. And like basically, you know, if I would do like Disney fan art or something, you find other people who like Disney, or you draw like a vintage outfit, you find people who like vintage outfits too. So you kind of I started building a little community of people who liked kind of the same things that I liked, which was fun, just like getting to know sweet people. And the vintage community is a really, really sweet community too. Like, I know social media has like its cons for sure. But I feel like I've gotten really lucky with like a really nice community within the niche of my illustration style. But anyways, eventually I ended up just like being like, I'm just going to put this like account just as designed by Shea and just share art to it. So I don't have a personal account because I feel like I don't need to be on social media any longer than I already am. So
That is
it's all just like,
yeah, that is a good factor that happens when you when you have to do it for work, that when you're not, you're like, okay, no.
yeah. And like for me also that line is so blurry too of like work and what I do. I like so enjoy it. And I enjoy social media for I guess work. I love seeing like what other people are making. But it can be such a time suck. Like I have had to put like limits on my phone so that I'm just not infinitely scrolling.
Man. Yeah. What I'm doing is I'm looking up, I may have to send you two friends of mine
Mm-hmm.
their accounts because they are both like use that retro-y style, and they are both women with incredible style. And
Please send them. Yeah.
one of them, Ashley, she is in Vegas and was a costumer for, why can I never remember the name? It's the big where they do the acrobatics and stuff.
Cirque du Soleil.
Boom.
Wow. Okay. What's
So-
her account? I'm gonna look her up.
Let me look at the other one I'll give you is a friend of
Uh-huh.
mine here locally it's funny. She's a nurse and she goes by the Vintage Epicurean.
Oh, cool.
So if you search the Vintage
Mm-hmm.
Epic, you'll see the rest. And I'll find.
Found them.
So she's all, her and her husband are the absolute best,
cool.
but she has a
sustainable fashion.
yeah, very distinct style. I'm gonna find Ashley. Ashley is really into the burlesque stuff.
Oh, love that.
So she posts it. God love her. She's not going to listen to this, so I can say this. She will not do the podcast because it makes her too nervous. And then she posts stuff on Instagram. I was like, I don't know how you have the guts to post that. Like, holy crap,
Right.
man.
Like you're so brave in that. Like, why
Yes.
are you scared of talking?
Yeah. Here you go. It's underscore Ashley with an E Marie underscore 75. Ashley Marie. Her last name's Caleb, but she doesn't have that on here.
Okay, wait. Was it underscore Ashley and then
Wait.
underscore Marie?
No, sorry. Underscore Ashley with an E.
Yep.
Marie underscore 75.
Underscores. I think I found him. Oh yeah. Oh, she's
Yeah.
darling.
So I feel like her hairstyles and her the colors she picks are right up your alley.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I love
You
her
see,
whole
like she posts
aesthetic.
some of that stuff. And I was like, and you can't talk on a micro. You and I are the exact opposite people.
It's just that's her show.
I
Her
know.
showwomanship is like more like staging
Yeah.
the pictures and all of that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, such a cute style. This is right up my alley. I
Okay.
love like the pinup style.
Yeah.
And the burlesque stuff is so cool. It's so cool that she did costumes for Cirque.
I think it's from what I understand, she got laid off during the pandemic and she's finally found something that she is doing costuming again, but she's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Adrian, the vintage Epicurean. If you look, you may have to, I'm looking at her feed. You might have to scroll back a little bit because she's got some really cool, like 70s style and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Where she finds vintage stuff. But yeah,
these are awesome people.
awesome.
Thank you for sharing this with me. I always like this. These are the types of people that I want, like in my little niche bubble of vintage.
Well, it's hilarious because Adrian, her husband Will, could not be more of a goofy, funny guy. And Adrian, outside of that, could not be more of a goofy, funny person.
Yeah.
And I was like, but everything is so meticulous and styled. I was like, come on, I know the real you. I've seen you.
I've seen behind the curtain. Like
I've seen you 6 beers in at Brewer Festival. Like, come on now. Come on now.
Well, you're on the inside, so
yeah. Okay. That feed mainly Illustrator. You seem to do favor digital a little bit more over hand. By hand. I know you do some by hand, but is there a conscious choice or do you prefer doing digital?
I love both. But digital is faster, obviously. Or it's gotten faster for me. I've got like my favorite brushes and everything, so I know exactly what I'm doing there. But I always try and make, whenever I do digital artwork, I want it to feel like it's hand done. So I always want to add a little paper texture, make it feel like, make the brush lines feel hand done, because that's the goal, is for people to see that an actual human made this. But I love drawing by hand. I love any kind of like a brush pen. Like I had to do a lot of painting in school, which I like painting with gouache, but I'm also really impatient. So I like to be able to use like pencils and sketching and brush markers and brush pens and stuff like that instead of paint. Like waiting for paint to dry is I can't.
Oh my God.
One of these days I'll get like more into painting or something again, but I just don't have the patience.
In the early days of the Illustrator group, one of the people that helped found it, she brought these little wood blocks and had paint, and it was all oil. And I hadn't used oil in so long. I was like, let me just paint the entire background. Oh crap, I can't do anything else now.
And I'll just stare at this block for
a week. I did one little dot and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I made a major mistake. Because I was just going to do like this greenish aqua background with a flame on the top of it. And nope, that did not happen. Now, now in like my illustrators group, I'll show, because I cannot draw by hand that well. It is terrible. So I have started just doing, because I've got my book right here, like these patterns.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I'll start, thank you. I'll start on one end and I'll be like, let me figure out what the center is going to be. And that one ended up, I was like, eventually I'll take that and scan it and put like a flower or something in there. And do it like a 2-color project, or this where I was using these pens.
Yeah. Just more abstract line work. Yeah. That's cool. And that looks very mesmerizing or like very like therapeutic to make it.
I'm I'm very fortunate to be around a lot of people that are way better than me than illustration. And then that used to be a struggle until I hit like my mid 30s. I did not call myself an artist till my mid 30s, even though
Hmm.
I'd create stuff because everyone around me was so much better than me. So I was like,
Mm.
no, they're artists. I'm just a schmuck that's trying.
I
So
don't know. Well,
yeah,
it's so funny because I feel like, I mean, the best illustrators aren't always like the most technically skilled.
yeah,
I think some of the best illustrators are like the best like people with marketing and business, and they know
yeah,
what's going to make a successful illustration, depending on what your goal is, you know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like
I can't.
I'm not the best illustrator. There's people who can just outdraw me any old day, but it's like
Uh,
I know what I like and I know what my people like, and this is what I make.
yeah,
And it's always hard too because I feel like the my illustration style is like I'm like there are people who just make cool art. Like, and I feel
yeah,
like a lot of my stuff feels kind of like campy glamour. But that's what makes me happy. Like I love like glitz and glam and sequins and vintage Broadway, and like that's what I like. I like whimsical, happy things. It's just what makes me happy to create. I'm like very much a happy artist. I don't like
yeah,
being a sad artist. But there are people who just like have such a cool style, or like it's more serious and it's like, I want to hang that in my home. Like that looks so cool. And like I'm so tempted to like do something like that, but it's like at the end of the day, it's not really who I am. And I just have
yeah.
to accept the art that I make, you know?
Okay. This is where I want to wag my finger and be like, hush, get all Southern, hush. Like, no.
Preach.
Yeah. I get that. What is that about there's another phrase that I can't pull where it's everybody thinks that they're going to be found out and
Hmm.
be asked to leave.
Hmm.
Imposter syndrome
Oh yeah.
in art. That's what amazes me about people who do not have that and just create.
Hmm.
Like, and I saw some meme earlier this year that I reshared that was something like, hey, that person that's not as good as you is still going to promote their art. So you might as well do it too. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you got to keep that in mind. There are a lot of people who are not talented that have a lot of confidence. And
Yeah.
you're the
Confidence
glasses half
goes a
full.
long way.
You're the glasses half full. I'm the glass half empty. I'm like, no. But I think I talk to younger artists. It's like, no, you're just as, you just keep working. Don't worry
Yeah.
about them. Don't worry about them.
Yeah. No, for sure. And like, and my husband always is like, compare yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
Which
Competition is
helps.
the thief of joy.
It
Yeah.
really is. I mean, and I just like even it's like these phrases, they almost sound cliche, but they exist for a reason,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
where it's like if I just look at what my art looked like a year ago or 3 years ago, or if I think about in high school, if I had like told myself like I'm going to be able to collaborate with like this company or this company, like you're going to be doing all of this cool stuff, I'd be like, whoa, that's
Yeah.
actually really interesting. And like as a person who's like I'm pretty like highly motivated and I'm always trying to think of the next thing. It's easy to like forget some of the accomplishments that you have
Yeah.
made.
Well, and
And
what,
we
oh,
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, and it's just like being I think also seeing other artists all around you thanks to social media, it does make you feel like highly like I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough because look at what they're doing, look at what they're doing. And then it's like, but we're all putting our best work out there, right?
Right.
Like you don't see all the behind the scenes of like everyone has their own little inner turmoil
Yeah.
they're dealing
Yeah.
with, right? Like
Well, the biggest thing I have preached to them is because you just said something that sparked this in me. I was like, I always tell them, I was like, just because you did something doesn't mean it's done. You can
mhm.
always redo it.
Mhm.
Because I was telling them, I was like, you leave college, you have your portfolio work, and some of it is just spec work, some of it's stuff you did in college. Guess what? Redo it because you're
Yeah.
better now 3 years later than you were then. Just redo it. Nobody is taking notes and
Mhm.
saying, but that was something you did in college. Screw that. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it again. Take
Also,
what
a
you
lot of
learned.
times, like, no
Yeah.
one cares.
No, no
You
one
know, like, you're
cares.
the only one who really cares about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's like
But yeah,
freaking out.
artists have been doing that for years. Like
Yeah.
classical artists, where it's like every single year they do a new self-portrait, and it's so fun to see how they grow. And like these are like obviously our most famous artists in the world, like a Van
Yeah.
Gogh kind of a vibe, you know,
Yeah.
like and seeing their self-portraits over the years and how their style changes and evolves or evolves is so encouraging,
Oh,
you know?
I went to MoMA and they had Magritte's charcoal drawings.
Mm,
And some of them were like, holy, what in the, this is amazing. Why didn't he do more of this? And
yeah.
then some of them were like, this is terrible. But it's like, no, these were all him
A part
working
of,
through the
yes.
process. I was
Yeah.
like, and yeah, again, I'm a schlub from Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't matter. But it was
That's not true.
it was
Don't say that.
fascinating. It was fascinating seeing. No, I meant he is Magritte and I am me. But it was fascinating seeing that process. And like,
Mhm.
and this is not what he's known for. I was like,
Right.
that's fascinating to me.
Right. It's
Yeah,
behind the
I
curtain.
loved it.
Like,
I loved
yeah.
it.
Ugh.
I will hear another little side story. My favorite painting in the because I'll ask you this: what
Mhm.
is your favorite painting in the world? And I'll tell you mine while you're thinking about that. I saw Christina's World when I was at MoMA, and it was in a small room. I am 6'7" and almost 3 bills. I walked into the room, saw it, and looked around and said, "Everyone needs to leave right now." And everybody just kind of stopped. I was like, "I'm not kidding. Everyone needs to leave." And I cleared the room so I could have a
Aw.
moment with this. And I'm up there looking at it and sitting there and crying a little bit and just looking. But now I'm thinking, I was like, how did I not get tased? I mean, like, out, everybody
I
out.
guess you're just like, I've got a beard. I'm speaking with authority. Get out of here.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not kidding. Everyone needs to. There was like 8 people in there or something. I was like, I didn't care. I was like, everybody needs to leave because you're going to get in my way or you're going to say something. I need to be
I need
here.
a moment.
Yeah. I need a moment and y'all need to leave. And
And they did.
and they did.
Oh, I love
Okay.
that.
What do you think? Do you have a favorite piece or painting or?
I would say it's really, that's like such a tough, I don't know if I have one that has like, I needed to cast other people out of the room to appreciate it.
What?
But because I think I just feel like you could convince me like any painting could be my new favorite painting
Okay.
based on like my mood. But I will say an artist that I've always loved their work is Botticelli. So the Three
Okay.
Graces, that piece, it's got such an elegance to it. So I would say that's a painting that always
Okay.
comes to my brain whenever I think of like favorite paintings.
Have you seen them live in
Um,
person?
I didn't get it. Wait, I saw that piece live. And then I saw some of his work at the Louvre, which was really, really
Oh,
cool.
shit. Yeah.
And that museum was crazy because I remember like we're on our way to like go see one of like the famous paintings, and like we're all, like I'm with my friends and we're walking, and I'm just like I turn left, like we just almost passed a Botticelli, like that's just hanging out there, like on the
Yeah.
wall. And that's kind of the crazy thing about that museum is like obviously there's like the famous pieces that like they tell everyone to go to, but on your way, like what was crazy is obviously there's the Mona Lisa that everyone goes and crowds around, but right outside of that room are several other like Leonardo da Vinci pieces that are just beautiful. And like
Yeah.
nobody's looking at them. And you're
Yeah.
still gonna get the same takeaway feelings by looking at those paintings. Or like I gotta like stand like this close to like what is it? There's one where it's like a woman with a ferret or something, but it's just like but like it was crazy. Like there was so much beautiful art in there that people were just walking right by. It was
So
insane.
I had that in DC where Starry Night was on exhibit there
Mhm.
in DC,
Ooh,
but they
yeah.
also had a special loaned exhibit of is it Japanese woodcuts of the waves,
Ooh, oh
the waves,
yeah, yeah.
and it was like hardly anybody was there, but I barely could get into the room with Starry Night, and I'm like, okay,
Do
all
y'all
right,
even
guys.
know?
I was like, all right, guys, there
Yeah,
is more here than this one painting.
yeah,
It's like, geez, okay.
yeah.
No, that's good. You all stay here. I'm gonna go over
Yeah, and like
here.
not mad about it. Like
No.
enjoy Starry Night. I'm just gonna like have a little moment with this
Yeah.
like
These
magnificent piece of
Japanese
work.
woodcuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
I love Japanese woodcuts too. That's like another whole. I love anything. There's such an elegance to their work.
So
Ugh.
I have a book in there that they created a book for that exhibit
Mm.
there, and I bought it while I was there. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get this home and
Hmm.
pour over this, and I can't wait to look through it.
Ooh, well, you're gonna have to give me the name of that book.
Yeah, I'll
'Cause-
find it. I'll find
okay.
it. Okay.
What
What
do you
app
got?
what app do you use to draw when you're drawing digital? Do you use
Procreate.
Procreate? Okay.
Yeah, mostly that. I mean, I started by drawing in Photoshop because we used Cintiqs at Primal Screen, and
Oh
that was
yeah.
like when the Cintiq was like a crazy new thing. And so when I was trying to teach myself to draw digitally, like within my own style, which was probably what, like 2014 or something like that, I was using Photoshop.
Okay.
And then Procreate came out in like 2017 or something like that. And so I just taught myself how to use that instead. And I feel like for all of my roster based work, I will use Procreate now. And then I'll
Okay.
bring things into Photoshop if I need to. And then I do love to like create an Illustrator as well if I'm doing any vector based work. So I kind of have like a different style that I can do in Illustrator versus the roster
Okay.
based stuff. So.
And you mentioned like paper texture. Do you get those from like Retro Supply or somewhere, or did you create them your own?
You can do both. I found one eventually that I like. It comes with this like I think it's a watercolor max pack that I can share it with you.
Okay.
But it was all these watercolor brushes that I had bought, and then there was a paper texture brush in there, and I was like, that's my favorite thing.
Okay.
So I end up just using that. But I used to scan like things in, and then you can
Yeah.
also just find paper textures online and just set your top layer to multiply.
Yeah.
But there's a specific brush that I've really enjoyed using because it just gives that nice little tactile quality and richness. And I always put that brush in red because
Okay.
it adds a warmth to the art at the very end, which is nice.
Okay. Here's why I'm laughing at you.
Mhm.
Don't worry about sending the brush because I still draw in Illustrator with a mouse or with my
Oh, yeah.
trackpad.
Yeah.
Like I have never gotten used to drawing by hand.
Yeah.
I draw using the mouse and I
Yep.
do the overlay all the time.
Yeah.
The layer effects all the
Yeah.
time in Illustrator. I love it.
It
Although
makes a
it makes those
huge
Illustrator
difference.
files huge,
It
massive.
definitely can. I know. Oh my gosh. I know. That's why I always add at the very end. Where I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wait. So
But it's also like I create a repeating pattern of like wood grain
mhm.
and I have reused that
Yeah.
100 times, if not more. Because I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can just move it around or make the stroke thicker or thinner or
Yeah.
make it super big or super small. And I was like, but I'm going to draw this once and reuse it.
Yeah, just recycle that for sure. I
Yeah.
know. I think that's the only thing I struggle with illustrators trying to get the more texture brushes.
Yeah.
Because like I've tried to add more texture in my Illustrator illustrations, but then the file size just gets huge. And
Yeah.
then when you like you try and move something and it like is a 5 second lag until it gets there, I'm like, well, I'm angry now. And
And you see the beach ball pinwheel instead of
yeah.
the normal pinwheel. It's like, oh God, everything's going to explode.
Step away, step away. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
why does my laptop sound like it's a car in Mad Max
Oh
Fury
my
Road all
God.
of a sudden?
Yeah, I know. It's infuriating. So that's
Yeah.
where I was like, well, I'm just gonna draw in Photoshop and then like make my files. I was like, I used to make my canvas sizes so small too. It was dumb because I couldn't like recycle them. I would do like 5 inches by 5 inches because that's how the brushes looked best. Then I was like, I can't sell this as art
Uh-uh.
prints. Like I
Uh-uh.
can't scale this up. So
So
it's been
because I come from printing, everything
Mhm.
has a bleed.
Oh
Everything
yeah.
has
Yeah.
more space than it needs to. Like there's always additional hard drives. You can't, yeah. We'll touch on this for a second because I'm just curious. How do
Mhm.
you feel about AI and art?
You know, I don't feel like I've thought about it long enough to
Okay.
have a strong opinion, but basically, I think ultimately, if you use it as a tool, that's fine. But if you use it as like the only way that you create, like, and your voice isn't in it anymore, like, and you let it do all the work for you, I think that's where the line gets blurry for me. But I'm okay with using it as a tool. Like, I think people felt the same way, I'm sure, when we started using computers and graphic design, where it's like, it's
Yeah.
cheating. It's like, no, it's a tool to be able to create things using our human brains.
Yeah.
But I think as long as we just like keep the autonomy as artists, that's the important thing. I do get nervous about AI stealing different styles from different artists who obviously have devoted their entire lives to their crafts. Like that's where it starts to get murky. I always want there to still be a human touch no matter
Yeah.
what. So
Well, I think you'll appreciate this. I'm in a text thread with two brothers that I've known for almost 30 years that they're also designers. And we texted the other day, it's like, hey, AI, figuring out how to remove hair from
Mhm.
backgrounds in Photoshop.
Mhm.
Like that's what we need. We've
Yeah.
needed that since Photoshop 1.
Oh my
I was like,
gosh, yes.
I was like, figure that out. Let's not figure out. And I said that to somebody the other day, and they're like, there's a way to do that. I was like, I guarantee you it's still not as good as it should be. I was like, because it's been a nightmare forever.
Yeah,
And
you're so right. I've never figured it out. I feel like I've had a million projects where I'm trying to like get
no,
all these strands of hair and it just looks like trash every time I do it. So you're removing the background has been
yeah,
that's a pretty
yeah,
good one.
yeah. I was like, AI figured that out. Let's not figure out
Mhm.
how to make Ron Swanson look like he was illustrated by Leonardo da Vinci. Nobody needs that. I was
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I think using it as a tool, even in Illustrator, where they have different color palettes that you
oh
can
yeah,
basically like plop on and like just sort of, you're eventually going to have to go in there and tweak by hand and get it exactly how
yeah.
you want. But just as a quick tool, I think it's very helpful for designers and illustrators.
Yeah, for that, we've been Googling color palettes or looking at Pinterest forever.
Yeah,
Like that. Yeah, I can totally see. Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
I think like somebody else probably has like a real hot take on AI, but it's not
so
me.
it's kind of divided here. It's like
Mhm,
me and the artist I mentioned, Esther, are very
mhm, mhm,
AI art, but there are
mhm,
other people here in town that are very pro
mhm.
AI art. And I'm like, it's not there. It's not,
Mm.
I'm not a fan. I was like, I
I
can
just,
see AI being used for other things, but art,
yeah.
art is a funky thing. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's pretty situational. Like I just don't think I know enough to be able to have this big like blanket statement where I'm like, absolutely not. Like show me what you
yeah,
made using AI and explain it to me, and I'm open to it.
yeah,
But I think I just don't want, for me, I don't want my art to be stolen or
right.
like my art style to be stolen,
That's
and like reproduced by not human.
people are being a little bit more positive about Adobe using it because it only
Mhm.
uses like Adobe stock.
Yeah.
So it doesn't use like stealing off of your style. It
Mhm.
uses Adobe stock to generate AI art. And they're like, that seems a little more appropriate because
It does. Although I wonder, like, for people who have put their stuff up on Adobe stock, like if
yeah,
they, were okay. When you put your
yeah,
stuff on Adobe stock, you never really imagined it being used for AI. And I don't have my stuff on any place like Creative
yeah,
Market or Adobe stock. Even though I thought about doing it as like another way to get like passive income, but
yeah. Because you never know. You click that terms and conditions and you never read what it says. And yeah,
right.
so that's true. God bless it. See, you've already
Whoops.
convinced me. You turned me around.
You were starting to have a half glass full mentality,
Yeah.
and then I accidentally
Nope.
brought you down. No,
Nope.
it's just I think it's just like a treacherous land, and we're not going to know how to navigate it until like 20 years later, right?
Yeah.
So we're in it right now.
Yeah. Okay. More positive thing.
Okay.
Is there any of your art in your dad's dental office?
Oh, is there? No, there's my grandma's art in there, but if I gave it to him, he'd put it in there.
Come on, Dad. Come on, Dad.
No. But he has commissioned me before to do
Oh,
illustrations of like my mom, and her dog and
love
my
it.
mom and her cat, which has
Okay.
been really sweet. So he's
That's
very
awesome.
supportive.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But I probably should make them something. That's a good idea. I'll
Okay.
make them a little tooth inspired something.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The only dentist thing I know is from Little Shop of Horrors, and you do not want that.
Oh, we love that movie.
Okay.
That's actually a great idea because I've never done. I've always meant to do art from Little Shop of Horrors. No, we love it because it's funny. Like
Okay. No,
oh
I
my
wasn't
gosh,
sure.
Bill Murray and Steve Martin. Oh my gosh, that scene.
But
And
I'm
you'll
like,
be a dentist.
isn't that some of that kind of harrowing? I was like, and kind of scary. I remember it being a little bit scary when I was a kid. So,
Oh, but it's so funny. That's a great. Okay. Well,
okay.
thank you for that
There
idea.
you go. Hey, we're done. So you can, no, I'm just kidding. um, is there anything you would like to see more of in art and creativity?
Hmm. I'm thinking. Anything I'd like to see more of? I think one thing that I wish that I had had was more within art school, but just people being more open about the business of art and
Yeah.
design and illustration and being more open about numbers. Like I do think the what is it? The Graphic Artists Guild, they've got that great
Mhm.
book. It's like a guide to pricing and everything, but I think just more of like the money side of and the business side of art. I wish that people are starting to be a little bit more open about it, but like even understanding art licensing, like I'm just trying to figure that out now myself. Like I didn't
Oh
even
yeah.
know that what the term was, you know? Like I think if like artists and entrepreneurs are a little bit more like open about how they make their income, I would like more of that in the
Okay.
community.
That's it's been my argument forever that every kid in a creative field going through college should be required to take business classes.
Yeah, for sure. Just a basic business class too. You
Yeah.
know, even just learning the fundamental thing of like having a separate business account from your personal account. Like
Filing
that.
quarterly taxes.
Yeah,
Like,
yes, exactly. Like, and that's stuff that I feel like I've only just really learned in like the past like 5 to 10 years, and like I should have known about
yeah.
forever. I know it's like some of the things that we learned like in school, I'm like, Just teach me how to do taxes." But also taxes are crazy where the government's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, account for all the money you made and like all of this difficult stuff, and if you get one number wrong, then we're coming
Yeah.
after you." It's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh."
I love that. That was a meme or something. It was like, no, this is going to be complex math that you
Yeah,
never learned, and
yeah.
you figure that out.
And you have to do it.
Yeah, and you have to do it. We can do it, but you have to do it.
And if
But
you
we
do
can
it
do it.
wrong,
Yeah,
then
you're
yeah,
screwed.
oh my gosh. But I feel like that would just be so helpful if people were like a little bit more open about
Yeah,
that. And I always try to be too, like, because I think if we're sharing the numbers with each other, like understanding pricing and how to price your work, making sure you're not underpricing, like it's going to elevate the entire community if we're all
yeah.
pricing correctly. Which is again why I'm so
Oh
grateful for
God.
things like that Graphic Artists Guild
Yeah.
handbook to pricing.
Don't get me started. There are people that it's like here's my glasses half empty. There are
Okay.
people that refer to as bottom feeders.
Hmm.
I'm like, I guess I can say this with there are video production people here in town. I was like, they will do stuff for free or for like $75 instead of because they want to be able to post about it on social media.
Mm.
And they're having to get 100 clients and they're acting like they're balling out. It's like, no, you're not. You're barely making it.
Hmm.
It's like, stop with the BS on the social media or just try to be more of a professional
Yeah.
and people will pay you. It's
Yeah.
like, it seems to be like, we got 8 employees. I was like, no, you don't. You got like 4 interns.
Hmm.
Like, I wish there was a little bit less falsity in all the
Yeah.
social media stuff
Yeah.
for
For
me.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I call them bottom feeder because I was like, man, there's been projects I've lost out on because people are willing to do it a lot cheaper and
Right.
it's not as good.
But then clients start to expect that as the normal price,
Right.
right? It brings
Yeah.
everyone down. So
Yeah.
like I mean, of course you want to protect like uh there's a certain level where you can't share everything that you earn,
Right.
right? Like you got to protect yourself in that way. But I think like I'm always happy to like talk one-on-one with people. I try and not ever really like share my pricing like on social media, even with my commissions. I never really like to
Right.
include it in the captions because I always want to have the ability to change it, you
Oh, yeah.
know? And I don't want someone to be like, here's a post from 2017 of like what your commissions cost. Cause it's like, no, they don't cost that anymore.
Yeah.
Cause I was way under charging, you know? Um,
Yeah.
so it's like a yeah.
I was going to say what I love talking to whenever I talk to kids about pricing, I was
Mhm.
like, figure out your hourly rate,
Mhm.
count every interaction you have with the people. That counts
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah,
discussing the
absolutely.
project. I was like, a
Absolutely.
lot of people bypass that. I was like, anytime you have to open when it comes to graphic design, anytime you open the file, that's an hour.
Right.
It's a minimum an hour.
Oh, I like
Like,
that.
and
Yeah.
then I put a clause in my contract that says you get 2 proofs with 2 sets of changes.
Mhm.
Any changes after the third one, it reverts to hourly
Yeah.
because I got screwed one time and that's all it
Yeah.
took. And
Yeah.
then the last thing is whatever you do all that math and you figure out what it is,
Mhm.
add more hours because there's always going to be extra stuff.
Oh,
I was like,
absolutely.
I was
And
like,
then
and that's your project price.
yeah.
That's
And ask for half up front.
yeah.
you know?
That's still, even to this day and age, is still the hardest thing, is
Mhm.
getting people to understand that aspect.
Yeah. But I think it's easier to sell them when I'm just like, yeah, I would like to request half up front. This kind of obviously is an insurance policy for me, but then also I'm not going to charge you until the very end of the project for the whole
Yeah.
thing so that you're also protected. And it's like, it's for you and it's for me.
Oh, you ought to see my web design contract. It is a lot more complex. It is like, okay, we have our initial meeting
Oh,
and figure out what we're going to do. Now you're
yeah.
going to pay me at the end of that meeting. You need to send me half
Yeah.
right then. And
Yeah.
then the minute the site gets launched, because we've already gone through beta testing and everything, you pay me the other half, and anything you acquire after that is hourly.
Hourly. Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You
it
just have
is
to protect
aggressive.
yourself
Yeah.
because it's like you get burned enough times. You're like, not
Yeah.
again.
Okay. Is there anyone you would like to work with?
Oh my gosh, I'd like to work with so many people. I think right now what I'm most excited about is to be able to do collaborations using my own illustration style. So it's not me
Okay.
wearing this like incognito designer freelance hat. It's like hiring designed by Shea for
Okay.
this company. So I think even if that would be something like getting my illustrations on cards in Target or something, that would
Oh, yeah.
be incredible. Or like their little cute gift cards, but it's my specific style
Right.
as far as illustration goes. Like that's the level of work that I want to be getting to next. I think, yeah, I'm really interested in art licensing where it's like I can create the art and it can live on a bunch of different things and be in like stores everywhere where more people can basically see my art. I would love to be able to do more of that. I
Do
also think it'd be, oh yeah.
do you have it? I was going to say, have you looked into getting an agent?
Yeah. I used to have an agent.
Okay.
When was this? This was in like 2018. It was Shannon Associates. And so I worked on children's books with them, which I really enjoyed. I kind of just had to tweak my style and make it like for children,
Yeah.
which was so fun. I got to work on a bunch of fun projects. But ultimately, I was like, I don't think that this is like where I'm supposed to
Okay.
be, like, is children's book illustration. As much as I love it, it's not like there's a million just incredible children's book illustrators out there and like that's what they do, like that's what their style is for. And for me, I'm more like maybe young adult or actual adult. So I'm trying to figure out what age range and like market my art fits with. So I'm looking potentially for another agent, especially like a licensing agent.
Okay.
But it's going to be it's basically like dating. Because I remember when I was trying to court my first illustration agency, like I put together a special little box like that I had like packaged and designed and included like little pieces inside and a handwritten note, like just to try and get their attention versus trying to just send emails. So like I do want to get an agent, but I also don't want to put the work into finding the agent when I have a million
Okay.
other things I want to do. But I think that would be an incredible way to get those partnerships. Having somebody like obviously doing that
Right.
work of trying to market my art and pitch my art to prospective clients.
I've gone to like design conferences and stuff, and I've heard like
Mhm.
Jessica Hish talk
Mhm.
about that. And
Mhm.
it seemed like her having the illustration agent really got her a lot of the work
Mhm.
that she wanted.
Mhm.
But it also, in her talking about it, it sounded like a lot of the stuff she did, she was telling like the unglamorous side of like doing a piece for the New Yorker. And she was like, this actually did not pay that much. It was very stressful.
Mhm.
And I had to do a lot of iterations in a like within 48 hours. And she
Mhm.
was like, it's glamorous, it looks cool. It was a lot.
Yeah.
She was like, do it when you're young and hungry and want to do that stuff. But then she started talking about, working with Starbucks and Target and all that. And
Yeah.
it's like, but you do that stuff to get people to find you for this. So that was really cool.
Exactly. There's like you're doing it for a specific reason, which is to take your work to the next level. And she seems so savvy that like she seems really business savvy too.
Yeah.
Where it's like she probably doesn't even need an agent. She could do it all herself, but also she's a very busy person.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, and I know for me, I would not say I'm like a numbers gal or a big business gal. Like I can do it because I've had to, but it's not like a thing that gives me life. Like I would rather have an agent probably take a cut, um,
Yeah.
and I can just create, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So If you know any good licensing agencies or illustration agencies, please let me know because I'm trying to find them.
My advice would be find the people that you like the trajectory they're on and reach out to them and ask them
if they have one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Because I'm not going to know Jack. I'm not going to know Jack when it comes to that. Like,
yeah, no,
but-
that's smart.
yeah.
I've heard that too with like, oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I have learned over time that there are things that I don't know and I'm not good at. And I'm glad to say I do not know that and I'm not good at that. If I find out anything, you will be the first one to hear it. But
yeah,
my advice would be find somebody who's on the trajectory that you like.
Yep. And they're already doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one of my illustrator friends, as far as like getting a book published, she was like, go to the bookstore, find like books that feel like right in your alley and find out who the publisher is, and be able to like, that way you'll understand like that publisher likes that art style, or like that's how you can start to find people is just or like looking in communication arts whenever like there's a really cool project and you find out who the art directors are and stuff like that, just start reaching out that way. You have to do a little bit of digging.
But it's also, we live in the age of Google. So a lot of things are you're easily able to find out.
Yeah, you can find out if artists are represented by an agent on their website a lot of times. So I do want to find an agent. I just know it's going to take a good chunk of time to find the right one,
Well, there you go. Well, that may go with this next question, which is, do you set goals or a checklist?
I feel like I've got vague goals in my head. And I have checklists for like the things that I need to get done. But I also try and like not box myself into all of that. Just because then I'll let myself get overwhelmed and have a little panic attack. I feel like I'd rather like I have goals of like, okay, I want to, maybe make this many sales in my Etsy shop this year, or like here's a number goal that I need to get to be able to like give my dog and cat the lifestyle that they've grown accustomed to. But and like I have like vague far off goals where I'm like, here's a partnership that I think would be really cool. I have like a list of potential people that I would really like to work with. And then I'm like trying to make pitch decks and stuff for to just put myself out there and present myself to them. I would say my biggest goal though is like really leveraging social media, because that is how I've been starting to get some opportunities. Like there's like a brooch company based in Melbourne that I am starting to get to work with, because I think they found me on social media. They put a post up saying, name an artist that y'all would like us to work with. And my name got mentioned multiple times and now I'm working with them, and that's because of social media. So that's my biggest goal, is just to continue leveraging that.
Okay. You saying that, so a project that has been long in the pipeline for Feral Giant content is to create pieces for dream clients. So I had to find my dream client list. If you can see, number one is Waffle House.
Yes. Okay. Full circle.
Waffle House and Oreo are two of my top ones. Yeah. Like I'm obsessed with both. And so I have, oh my God, my desk is so, I actually keep my favorite beer brewery in the world is Burial out of Asheville. So I kept a couple of their bottles on my desk to be like, hey, dummy, create a piece of art for Burial and tag them.
Yeah.
But here's, my friend made this with a 3D printer.
I love it.
And it opens
up.
Is
it open?
I said it's a stash box, but I don't smoke weed. So, but that's what it kind of looks like.
You should just put like another Oreo inside of it.
Oh, and Christmas, Christmas is coming up. So my dad, because he thrifts and stuff, I will just get a box. I guarantee you this Christmas full of Oreo stuff. And he found Oreo milkshake mugs that are like this big.
Okay.
That have the recipe on the back of how to make an Oreo milkshake.
That's the
These
thing of
porcelain,
beauty.
like he finds, I've got an Oreo milk, what are they called? The milk barrel, milk container.
Or
No, it's when they actually get it out of the cow. The big metal
like a canister. Okay, gotcha.
Canister. That's an Oreo one that has an Oreo on the top.
Oh my gosh. Do you have like an Oreo shrine? Like, do you have a shelf where all these things go?
No, there's too much.
There's too much.
Everywhere. It's everywhere, Emma. And I've got like 3 different Oreo gingerbread houses that I can make. And I was like, I've never made these. These Oreos are probably stale,
Oh
but
yeah,
but
don't eat that.
they're also all chemicals, so it's probably fine.
Everything's fine. Okay, well, what's like your favorite part of the Oreo?
The cream,
The
it's the cream.
cream? Okay.
But I like the cream a lot. I like the mega stuffs because the mega stuffs for
Oh
me have
yeah.
the right balance. And a
The
lot of people are
ratio.
like it's too much cream. I was like, no, it's not.
There can
But
never be too much.
there can never be enough. I've seen Pinterest recipes saying how to make the cream. I was like, I will be 4 bills if I learn how to make that. I
I
don't
do
need to
not
know.
need this
No.
like sacred knowledge. It's too dangerous.
But do you like Oreos?
I do. Yeah.
So if you can find the Java chip that tastes like
Uh-huh.
coffee and the
Uh-huh.
Toffee Crunch are amazing.
Oh, okay.
Very good. Very good.
Okay.
That would
Okay.
be my recommendation.
Thank you from
Yeah.
the Oreo connoisseur.
Yeah.
Connoisseurio.
Connoisseur. Oh my God, I'm writing that down. That's amazing. Connoisseuria.
It's all yours. Have a great time.
Uh,
I remember it was like the yellow cookie instead of the dark cookie. I remember those were
golden.
tasty.
Yeah.
The Goldens, okay, yeah.
And I will say the lemon ones are very good.
I've never tried the lemon one. I
Yeah.
liked the golden one because I could dip them in my tea and
Yeah.
it kind of softened it and it was a delicacy.
Love it. Love
Mhm.
it. It's amazing. I love dipping Oreos in my coffee. Like it
Mhm.
tastes so good. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I could go 18 rounds on Oreos. I love Oreos.
Oh my gosh. No, it's a fun thing to know about somebody. It's like, what's your go-to? Like, well, do they have Oreos at like the gas station? Can you get, I've never looked for them.
They're crappy. They're usually a little bit out of date. They're in the little
You do
packets.
have to check expiration dates at gas
Yes.
stations because I had my husband had an expired Slim Jim one time. And it was like it crumbled into ash. Like
I made the mistake. I was driving to Detroit and I hit so much traffic. I was like, I cannot stop to eat. I'm just gonna when I stop and get gas, I'll run in and get a Cliff Bar
okay.
and pound that and coffee and water until the next one. I got a Cliff Bar in some small town in Ohio that it had probably been there for like 10
The
years.
first Cliff Bar they ever bought.
Like
Yeah.
I got
Oh,
halfway
God.
through it and I was like, I'm going to pay for the. Sorry for the TMI. I'm
Yeah.
going to pay for this later.
Oh
There
yeah.
is something wrong here.
We will
And I
be
finally
making
threw it
another
away.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't be throwing the rest of this away. I was like, what the hell?
Oh gosh. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta check those expiration dates, you know.
So yeah, Oreos. So yeah, I actually have like 5 packs of Oreos in there right now.
Oh my
The
gosh.
hot cocoa ones just came out and they taste like cocoa powder. It is very good.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, chef's kiss. I keep doing this, but yeah. Yeah. When you said that about connoisseurio, I
Uh-huh.
thought I should have a beret that looks like an Oreo.
Oh my gosh, yes. This needs to happen.
All right. Do you know what you would like to do in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years,
Yeah.
I want to keep working for myself.
Okay.
I really love having the autonomy of my schedule and my time. But I want to get to a point like where I do think having an agent would be really, really helpful. But just doing the kind of work that I love making, and
Okay.
having a good work-life balance as well. Because I feel like my career has just always been a hustle. And I would like to be able to create a bit more of a separation. Especially since I love what I do so much. I'm like, I gotta find some other hobbies. Like, but I think just, yeah, still working for myself. I would like for my husband to be able to work for himself too. He's into YouTube, and he's
Oh.
really growing that a lot. But we both just really like being able to create it from a home,
Okay.
and do our own creative careers. So,
So 2 things. Number 1, my buddy Adam Kennedy and I always make fun of the whole rise and grind mentality and how much BS that is.
mhm.
And there's been part of me that's thought about creating a separate line of products that are the opposite of that.
Oh yeah.
Like like just make fun of that. I was like, maybe I can make t-shirts or stickers or something. Nobody steal that idea. That's trademark
You can have
Jody.
it.
Yeah. I was like, because it's such crap of like, well, I got up at 4 a.m. and I got at it. I
I
was like,
know.
or you could get rest and you can feel better about yourself. Like,
I know.
so silly.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to get out of that like grind hustle culture, but sometimes
Yeah.
it is like you have to do it to like
Yeah.
make ends meet, and I think that's where I'm like I don't value like waking up like with insomnia and I wake up at 3 and I'm like, well, I'm just going to get some work done because I can't sleep until I do that.
A big
Like
thing for me that switched is when I go on vacation, I
mhm,
only use my phone for GPS and taking photos and
that's
videos.
smart. Yeah.
Don't look at anything else. Don't look at
Yeah.
social media. Nothing matters while I'm on
Yeah.
vacation. I'm on vacation for a damn reason.
Yeah.
And to be fortunate enough to have that is good.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to
Mm.
give a shout out to your husband. What is his bag on YouTube? What does he do on YouTube?
Yeah, he is Philip Conrad. He's a
Okay.
musician, he's a music educator, and he primarily plays the bass. So if you are a bass player or bass curious or music curious,
Okay.
he is awesome. And he's
Okay.
very like you'll feel so relaxed whenever like he starts talking. He's just very mellow, very calm, like very lovely.
Okay.
And teaches things in a way that like he's such a good teacher. I'm a
Okay.
terrible teacher. Like I'm like, let me share all of the information that I have with you and overwhelm you.
Yeah.
And he's much
Okay.
better.
So I realize I think I've interviewed 3 people from Atlanta.
Hmm.
LaRue Cook, who he actually lives just north and he teaches at a college there, that he wrote a book. He's from here. He was working for, was it ESPN or Sports Illustrated? He quit and became an Uber driver here in Knoxville. And
Hmm.
he wrote a book about the stories of the people that rode with him. It's a good book. If you want
Amazing.
to listen to that
LaRue
podcast,
Cook.
LaRue Cook, Larue
Uh-huh.
Cook.
Perfect.
Um, and then Michael Kurth, who hell, I think he's a bass player in
Really?
the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. And he released a CD of Michael Kurth. And he released a CD where he wrote all the pieces. And
Yeah.
in here, I'll turn a little bit. You can see, because you can actually see my record player rotating right now. So
Hmm.
there's the record player. I was listening to the Hold Steady before you got on, so I'm right in my place. But but sometimes at night when I'm done working on my computer, I'll turn on WUOT, the classical station, and I
Yeah.
turned it on, and one of his pieces just happened to start, and it's
Oh,
3 pieces as one, and it literally made me stop and turn around and look at the tuner.
you're like,
And
what is
again,
happening?
again, the second piece made me start crying a little bit. Like
Oh.
it's like I'm telling you, listen to that. It's Michael Kurth,
Hmm.
whatever it's his album. He did it with Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, but listen to the first 3 pieces. That it's one
Okay.
big piece.
We'll definitely listen to that. I've
Yeah.
got it up on my phone, so I'll
Okay.
remember.
And he's there in Atlanta. He's funny because he's like a punk dude with like a faux hawk, and he
Yeah.
cussed a lot. And it was
But
just
has
like,
this like beautiful classical
yeah,
oh
yeah.
wow.
I was like, this is not what I expected, but I'm pretty sure he said he was. I hate to say it because these episodes are like 2 to 3 hours long. Sometimes I forget pieces like that. He's a very, very nice guy.
Yeah.
But him and his wife, they seem awesome. And
Yeah.
that's another one to listen to. But those 3 pieces, man, they're beautiful.
Okay, we'll give him a
Yeah.
listen. Hopefully I'll run into these people too.
Yeah. Is there any museum or magazine where you'd like to see your work published?
Oh, so a dream client for me would be to work with Disney, but work with Disney as designed by Shea.
Okay.
So because originally I was like, is that how you like become an illustrator? You're an animator, like that's a thing. Like, should I work for Disney? But I'm so glad I actually didn't go down that route because then I feel like I wouldn't have obviously grown in my own style. But I don't know if there's like a museum or piece or something, but I feel like it would be something with Disney. It would be really, really cool.
Okay. Well, it
I
could
don't
be
know.
merch or something
Yeah,
along that
exactly.
line.
Yeah. Yeah,
That would
one
be
of
cool.
my friends on social, she does a bunch of fashion illustration and she did these like Disney princess inspired wedding gowns and they actually made them.
Man.
And like something like that would be the dream.
Have you okay? We've got one last big question, the one
Hmm.
that I did not share with you. That's
Hmm.
the
Oh
heavy one.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
before we get to that, have you ever thought about like actually trying to produce some of the things you design into an actual fashion piece?
Oh, yeah, I think it'd be amazing. I don't have any like seamstress sewing skills. Nor do I want to. Like I've thought
Okay.
about that. Like, should I pick up like sewing? And I'm like, you know what? I would rather just draw the thing. So if I could find somebody to like collaborate with to create that stuff, absolutely. But some people have already done that, which is like they'll take my illustrations and do like a cosplay. Like I
Oh
had
yeah.
done this like Disney princess vintage like in vintage gowns series that I drew. And then like the other day, like a group of like 12 women, they made the actual costumes
Amazing.
and made this real. I like I
Oh,
that was my tier. Where I was just like, oh my gosh, like somebody actually made these outfits. And some people have done that with different illustrations I've made. They actually create them into real life pieces, and it's just so exciting. But I think it would be really fun to do like that with a big like design house or something
okay.
like that where you make a specific dress or something.
I just realized y'all are in the city of one of the biggest cons in the world, Dragon Con. Do y'all go to
Yeah.
Dragon Con?
We don't go like with tickets or anything like that, but I went one time and I went to like the artist alley because
Yeah.
I had a friend who had a table there because I was trying to figure out like should I go like sell my art at cons? Like would that be a good thing for me? And I think it could. Um but I've never
Yeah.
actually like attended Dragon Con like dressed up and done cosplay, but I think it looks really fun. Like there's a
Yeah.
part of me that really deeply would love to do that.
So that's another person. Here's another person. Although her social media is terrible and she won't listen to this, or even if she did, I don't care. I would tell her
Who
this.
is it?
There's another person I interviewed that's in Colorado. Her name is Kitty Krell, Kittykrell. She doesn't
Okay.
post to Instagram. Like that's a lost cause, but she makes
Mm.
corsets in Denver and she does cosplay on a
Oh, I
level that is
see.
absolutely
Oh,
bonkers.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Wow, she did like Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, Harley
Yeah.
Quinn, Poison Ivy. Really cool.
Facebook maybe, although I think
Of course,
it's
it's in cosplay. That looks
yeah.
like that's her website.
And Crimson Rose Corsetry, I think is her shop where
Okay.
she makes
Yep,
corsets.
you're right. Yeah.
But yeah, her work is phenomenal.
Oh, she
Like
looks
it's
so
crazy.
fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to make clothes like myself. Like, I'm never going to
Yeah.
do something as good as somebody else who like this is their passion and their pride and joy. Like, I would rather have somebody really good like interpret
Yeah.
my like art as fashion. Like, there's
There
no
you
way
go.
I'll do as good a job.
Yeah. There you go. You know your limit and
I
you're
do.
like, yeah, okay.
Well, and like I can't wait for paint to dry. So like I'm not going to put sequins on a gown. That
Oh
is
my
not,
God.
I can't. I will lose my mind. And then I will become a glass half empty type of person, and we can't have that.
No, there's already me.
We
I'm
already got you.
enough.
I can't. Yeah.
I'm already enough. I took I got this gig doing a book cover for this country artist and his
Mhm.
wife from like the 50s. And I literally got handed a photo. Here's the text that goes on, and you
Mhm.
have 2 hours to do this. And I was like,
Ooh.
oh crap. Okay. So I did it and I noticed that she had, of course, because it was the 50s and country music had sequins all on her outfit lining.
Uh-huh.
So I lined like made a border of sequins
Oh, I love it.
around. I drew one and then I was like, okay. And I
Do
just
that.
repeat it and
Yeah.
turned it, 50 different ways.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, this looks so much better. I was like, yeah, I've been doing this a long time, brother. I
Like
was
I
like,
know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing. I was like, and I pulled the color from here, and he had the playing cards like the spade, the
Mhm.
club, all those. So I drew those and put those in, and he was just like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Dude, if you'd give me more time, it would look even better. It would be
Yeah.
more detailed." But I had 2 hours, so it's done. Guess what?
That's
And he
it.
gave me a printed I got a printed copy somewhere around here, but it was hilarious.
That sounds entertaining.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, big last question.
Okay.
If you could talk to the 14-year-old version of yourself, what would you tell them?
Mm. it's always okay to change what you want to do.
Okay. Okay.
Like, yeah, you don't have to be stuck in a choice that you made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be it.
Okay. I love seeing those things where it's like Samuel Jackson did not have success until he was like 46.
Yeah.
And it, all those people that's like, oh yeah, and this person didn't get into this until they were in their 50s. Like,
Yeah.
there's always time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like we sometimes categorizing things can help us organize information, but I think when we start to categorize ourselves and you find your identity in what you do or the choice that you made of what you studied in college, for example, something like that,
Mhm.
you get stuck into feeling like you can never change out of that. Like it's a part of your identity now. And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be. You can have new chapters and new iterations of yourself, and kind of reinvent yourself whenever you want to, you know?
Mhm.
Like even like my middle name is Shea. My first name is Caitlin. And that's everyone called me Caitlin until I was like in my early 20s. And then I was like, you know what? No, I really like my middle name and I want to start going by that. And I think that's what my shop is going to be, is designed by Shea. And I just decided to start going by my middle name and I felt really empowered by it, you know? Just
Yeah.
like even simple choices like that. And it seemed so scary. Like, who's gonna call me Shea? Like, because my parents still call me Caitlin.
Yeah.
But like asking my friends to be like, hey, can you call me by this now?
Yeah.
Because I relate much more. This name has more meaning to me than Caitlin,
Yeah.
So just little choices like that. It's totally fine.
Yeah. We're all just trying to make it. Like,
Honestly.
do
Yeah.
whatever you want to do. Like, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
I
Thanks for
appreciate it.
having me.